Report. 32%. Chapter 131. Reactions from all parties, the crisis between Bai Mengmeng and Chu Yuyan. In a canyon in the battlefield of the world. A demon with a long head and 2 feet, a dark red evil spirit all over his body, a hulking waist, and a pair of red and black wings growing behind his back. One bite at a time, he swallowed the head of a human leader. This is already the 100th human race lord it has eaten in the world battlefield. Among the heavens and all races, he only loves the human race. Crunchy. Human Suzy, I hope your Tao can be more beautiful. Morido stretched out his long tongue full of barbs, licked the blood remaining at the corner of his mouth, and there was a strong evil in the blood-red eyes. He didn't care that Suzy took the first place. Because all this is temporary. Human Suzy, I didn't expect us to be on the same battlefield. In a corner of the battlefield, a humanoid creature with a green body and 4 opposite green eyes sat on a mountaintop, staring coldly at the leaderboard that appeared in front of him. She is one of the 3 seed-level geniuses of the Zerg race who were sent to participate in the Xiaoju Tianjiao battle this time. Lark, if you look at its feet, we'll find that endless 14 soldiers, big and small, crawled at his feet. Among them, there are many 8th level and 9th level powerhouses. Thick and dense, it is shocking. How to do it? There was a hint of distress in Bai Lingxi's 4 eyes. There's Zerg's original plan. The first plan is to rely on Claire to lay a net at the landing site after the world battlefield is over. He never thought that the Zerg would launch an attack at that time. The second plan is that when the first plan is unsuccessful, Aina, who is the most similar to the human race and the most beautiful after being transformed from the Zerg, goes to seduce Suzy. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be her, the first to meet Suzy in world battlefield. If that's the case, when the Lord is settled, I'll test him. Finally, Bailingzi made up his mind. She would definitely not want to fight to the death with Suzy. After all, this is a task assigned to the 3 of them by the Zerg, so why should she complete it alone? And the human race Suzy looks so powerful. Killed even the angel clan Kesha. What if she was killed? With only 3 artifacts on her body, how could she fight Suzy to death? It's too unsafe. And not far from it. In a territory protected by an energy shield. The 2 girls, Bai Mengmeng and Chu Yuyan, were anxiously looking outside at the impenetrable Zerg army that surrounded the entire territory. Sister Yanur, we are so unlucky. Bai Mengmeng is about to cry. Although she entered the battlefield of 10,000 realms, she was lucky to find that she and Chu Yuyan were in close proximity. The 2 teamed up as a matter of course. But by coincidence, Bai Lingxi discovered the location of the territory. The 3rd existence on the killing list. Although they are also Tianjiao level. But there is also a difference between Tianjiao and Tianjiao. Obviously, the 2 of them work together, but they can't beat Bailingmian. After some troops were killed in battle, they had no choice but to consume source crystals and started the energy shield. It can protect them from being killed by Zerg for a short time. However, the energy shield that can block a large number of 9th order Zerg invasions consumes terrifyingly. Even with the background of the 2, it can't last too long at all. Don't give up. Until the end, maybe there will be a turning point. Chu Yuyan sweated profusely on her forehead. In fact, my heart gradually despaired. Sister, His Royal Highness Suzy has climbed to the top again. Do you think he will come to rescue us? Bai Mengmeng held the Taiyan jade rabbit who had already passed out in her arms and said. Yes, if he knows, he will surely. Chu Yuyan nodded. But how did he know? And that he knows, the distance between them is tens of thousands of miles, and by then they may have already died in the belly of insects. Sister Yanur, I don't want to die, I'm still a virgin. I haven't even touched a boy's hand. Bai Mengmeng rubbed the corner of her eyes and said unwillingly. Snapped. Chu Yuyan patted Bai Mengmeng's head lightly, and said with black lines all over her head, Girl, be reserved, don't say such things. FK her mother's reserve, Sister Yanur, I'm going to die, I don't care. Bai Mengmeng decided to show off. Snapped. A jade palm was patted on Bai Mengmeng's head again. You are not allowed to swear, even if you die, you have to die standing up. Didn't we already foresee this day when we became lords? Chu Yuyan warned, looking directly at Bai Lingxi sitting on the top of the mountain. Sister Yanur, do you like your highness? Bai Mengmeng stopped being funny, sat on the ground and asked Xiao Wanqing who was beside her. Suzy's handsome face appeared in Chu Yuyan's mind, and he remembered His Majesty when he was sitting in the hall. But before he could say anything, he was interrupted by Bai Mengmeng. Sister Yanur, we said when we were young that we will never be separated in this life, and we will be with the same person in the future. Do you remember? Bai Mengmeng looked up at the dark sky, and said in a crisp voice like a warbler's cry. Chu Yuyan smiled lightly and nodded. It's a pity, but I think His Highness is quite nice. Bai Mengmeng said with a full smile. Chu Yuyan remained silent, also looking up at the sky. Let's continue in the afterlife. Suzy, the leader of Vermilion Bird, has finally found someone who can fight. It's a pity that the distance is too far, otherwise we can make some friends. In the world battlefield, the sun is on the plateau. He Wushwang 853 closed the leaderboard, although only temporarily the first. But among the hundreds of millions of geniuses, the ones who reach the top. How can it be ordinary? My lord, where are we going now? Besides Suzy, Xiao Wanqing asked while holding Suzy's arm. Suzy heard the words. It's only the first day, the world battlefield is too big, people are too scattered, it's too troublesome to kill one by one. It's better to hunt and kill those who are ranked higher. Also, I found that the Zerg that I've been looking for is not far from us. Suzy said. Click on the location of Bailingzi. 10 million kilometers away from him. If the planetary engine is obtained again, he must give up this distance. But it's different now. At this time, the maximum speed of the territory is as high as 1 million kilometers per hour. If you sprint with all your strength, it must be there the next day. And since this Zerg can sit firmly in the top 3, she must have a lot of pawns in her hands, enough for us to get enough points. Suzy continued. Xiao Wanqing said softly. If the young master accepts it as an attachment, it can also be a great help. Suzy nodded. Perhaps the opportunity for Shenliu to advance to the 9th rank will also lie in Bai Lingxi. Report. 33%. Chapter 132. The indissoluble bond with the Zerg, doubt. In fact, from long ago, Suzy formed an indissoluble bond with the Zerg. In his 7-day trial, almost half of them were Zerg. In the end, 2 Zerg upper gods came for him. If Suzy hadn't owned the death doll at that time, he might really have died. But also because of this, Suzy directly killed a Zerg high god. Let the Zerg be in throes. Then the Zerg once again offered a reward to Suzy, attracting all races of geniuses to rush into Xiaoju Tianjiao battle. It's not over yet. When he just arrived, the arrogance of the Zerg race issued a letter of war to him. For Suzy, the Zerg can be said to be entangled to death, and they never tire of it. But when Suzy, by attached to Alice, experimented with a quick way to raise her faith, the role of Zerg in Suzy's eyes has changed. It is no longer sticky garbage, but a sweet pastry. And this can be in the world battlefield. The Zerg that has always been ranked 3rd, Lark. He will undoubtedly be one of the most powerful geniuses among the Zerg. Her army of soldiers and insects will definitely be outrageous. This is undoubtedly the most perfect faith material for Suzy. Therefore, Suzy is bound to win Bailingzi. And with so many soldiers and insects, Shenliu is very likely to step into the 9th level. It's a double-edged thing. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint me. Standing on the steel city wall, Suzy said indifferently as he watched the rapidly receding mountains. In fact, the current steel city wall is no longer a city wall made of steel. Every inch of the pitch-black city wall exudes an inexplicable luster, forming a seamless one. Standing in clusters on the border of the territory can block all incoming enemies. As a legendary building inherited by Suzy from his parents. Now he is no longer the Suzy before awakening. Naturally understand the preciousness of legendary buildings. It is enough to trigger the competition for the top Tianjiao, enough to trigger the battle of gods. But her parents left a piece of legendary equipment to him. Then it disappeared. Suzy never figured it out. With the strength of his parents who were only 4 or 5 levels back then. Where did you get the legendary building from? And Guanan Shan, how did he know that he had a legendary building in his hand? Suzy's eyes were deep, and he didn't know what was going on in his heart. After going back, he will definitely investigate this matter thoroughly if he has the chance. World battlefield. A round of blood moon is always hanging in the sky, as if it has been like this since ancient times. Can't tell day from night. Only the heart records the elapsed world battlefield time. What is that? There are alien races running wildly in the mountains, and suddenly the sky turns dark. Then it resumes in the blink of an eye. He looked up to the sky. Faintly saw a huge continent, advancing at an extremely fast speed. Also from this moment on, one after another, people have discovered that there is a huge continent in the sky. Because the speed is too fast, they can only see the tail of the planetary engine remaining in the air. Some even thought it was a secret treasure. Want to catch up at all costs. But in the end, he was left far behind by it. Also from this moment on, countless alien and human lords were blasted to pieces without knowing it. Naturally, it is impossible for Suzy to fly over boringly all the way. On the way, let the P cannon release a wave of scarlet pillar from time to time. And therefore, even on the go, Susie's killing point has always maintained the first position. Sister, it's gone. The last source crystal is also used up. Jade rabbit collar, Bai Mengmeng said desperately. Then fight. Even if you die, you have to die standing up. Chu Yuyan, who is usually gentle and elegant, is now full of heroism. With a thought, the silver white armor is draped around her body, showing her uneven figure perfectly. 1 point more is fat, 1 point less is thin. I have to feel the magic of the creator. Silver and white armor, holding a red tasseled spear. At this moment, Chu Yuyan turned into a female general on the battlefield. Sister Yunur, we will still be sisters in the next life. Seeing Sister Yunur like this, Bai Mengmeng healed slightly. Also wearing silver armor, a 9-ring machete appeared in his hand. When the defense of the territory is broken, unit hero dies. The Lord is the last battle force in the territory. Only by defending the territory to the death can the core of the territory be prevented from being broken. Ha, they have no source crystals. Sitting on the top of the mountain, Bai Lingxi's 4 bewitching eyes flickered, and he saw the flickering energy shield. What 2 prodigal sons, they actually used the source crystals to support them for 10 hours. I'm afraid the source crystals consumed are astronomical. This is mine. Okay. Bai Lingxi murmured, with dissatisfaction on his face. Next moment, her figure appeared above the energy shield, facing the 2 female Taoists below. You two can really hold on, but it's a waste of effort after all. Bai Lingxi said slowly. He fully expressed his admiration for the 2 female lords of the human race who can survive until now. Hey, you don't need to praise me. Bai Mengmeng spit at her. Our Highness Suzy will definitely avenge us. Bai Mengmeng raised her jade neck high and said proudly. Suzy, then you all have to die. Bai Lingxi heard the words. I don't want to say more, there is an old saying among Zerg. The villain dies from talking too much. If you can kill it, don't force it too much. Report 1. 33%. Chapter 133. Arrival, the 2 girls who are so happy and tearful, shameless. For human lords. Bai Lingxi will show no mercy. As the people say. Non my family, its heart must be different. A tyrannical energy gathers under its feet. Then she stepped down suddenly. Click. The energy shield shattered in response, turning into light spots and dissipating. The 2 huge territories were unreservedly exposed to the eyes of the Zerg. Next moment, Bai Lingxi stretched out a finger, and the fingertips were full of destructive energy condensation. Then she flicked a little. Originally only energy bombs the size of marbles. In an instant, it expanded 10 times, 100 times. It's over. Bai Lingxi turned around with a light smile, his 4 eyes showed joy. These 2 Terran lords seem to know Suzy. I don't know how to kill them. Will he be sad? I just came, how could it end? Suddenly, a light laugh suddenly entered her ears, making her smile slightly stiff. Turning around abruptly, the pupils shrank suddenly. Her 573 energy bomb, which was enough to kill 2 lords, was easily held in the hands of a human lord. It was Suzy who came. Your Highness, Your Highness. Bai Mengmeng rubbed her eyes hard, and when she was sure it was Suzy, her eyes turned red. He rushed out and hugged Suzy's chest, crying because of the sound. Your Highness, you really came to save us. Seeing Suzy's figure, Chu Yuyan was slightly taken aback, somewhat unbelievable. He actually saved them at the last moment. She at this moment. I really want to rush up and give Suzy a hug. But she hasn't moved yet. Like a gust of wind, Bai Mengmeng hugged her directly. Wanting to take a step, he had no choice but to stop and clenched his fists tightly. Slowly walked to Suzy, bowed to him. Thank you, Your Highness, for saving your life. If you need anything in the future, even if you are smashed to pieces, Yu Yan will definitely be there for you. Why? So am I, Bai Mengmeng. Seeing this bead, Bai Mengmeng immediately imitated. Okay, can you get off of me first? Suzy smiled, rubbed Bai Mengmeng's hair and said. It is good. It was only then that Bai Mengmeng realized that she was hugging His Highness like an octopus. Immediately shy, she hurriedly jumped down and ran to Chu Yuyan. Chu Yuyan gave her an angry look. Why was she so bold just now? Human Suzy. Through their dialogue, Bai Lingxi already understood the other party's identity. Suzy nodded in acknowledgement. At the same time, he said, I will return this thing to you. Then Suzy swung the red energy bomb with violent energy towards Bai Lingxi. Whoosh! The energy bomb rapidly grew in size at an incomparably violent speed. In an instant, then it was expanded thousands of times, and Bai Bailing was placed directly Bai Lingxi shrank his 4 pupils, bent over and kicked sideways. The huge energy bomb was kicked directly into the countless bug soldiers. Boom. The moment the energy bomb hits the ground, burst open, a fiery energy exploded in the air instantly. In a blink, countless soldiers and insects were directly overwhelmed by the berserk energy. A huge mushroom cloud curled up at an altitude of 1,000 meters. What is this? Bai Lingxi stared at the huge mushroom cloud that rose, and was slightly taken aback. The energy she sends out is not so powerful. I added a little something for you. Su Zi smiled softly. In fact, he used the P Cannon's Scarlet Pillar. As Lord, he can use the skills of all arms and heroes at will. Naturally including the Scarlet Pillar of the P Cannon. You call this a little thing? The corners of Bai Lingxi's mouth twitched. For a moment, her army of millions of insect soldiers disappeared. So strong. Bai Mengmeng opened her mouth wide and looked at the disappearing million Zerg army. It disappeared in an instant. Chu Yuyan was also slightly taken aback, her eyes flickering. This was the first time she saw Su Zi make a move. Su Zi didn't answer her, but looked to the sky. Also at this time, the sky suddenly became dark, and I couldn't see my fingers. Everyone raised their heads one after another, looking at the huge territory that suddenly appeared and covered the entire sky. My lord, here we come. Owner. When everyone was wondering, 2 beautiful women came to Su Zi's side one after another. Xiao Wanqing looked at Chu Yuyan and Bai Mengmeng not far away. Found that the 2 were fine, knowing that it was the master who saved them. Su Zi nodded towards them and said softly, you help them guard their territory, and I will deal with her. The 2 women nodded, and then quickly came to Chu Yuyan and the 2 women. At the same time, Chu Yuyan summoned hundreds of sun elves to help guard. Let's go up and fight. Su Zi pointed to the high-altitude road. It is good. Bai Lingxi nodded, although I don't understand why he was able to get here in such a short time. But since we met here, then she must have a fight. If she loses, she will run away directly. If she wins, she will destroy him directly. After speaking, Bai Lingxi took the lead to fly into the sky. Su Zi nodded towards the 4 women, and then followed suit. At the same time, the 4 heroes of Su Zi followed suit. High above the sky, Bai Lingxi looked at a lord and 4 heroes on the opposite side, and the corner of his mouth twitched. This human race is so shameless. Report, 33%. Chapter 134. Bai Lingxi's whole card, strong surrender. However, Bai Lingxi only complained in his heart. After all, compared with the number of people, they Zerg have never been afraid of anyone. Even the troops of the human lords are just modeled after their Zerg. On bullying the few with the more. They Zerg are the ancestors of the explosive soldiers. Soon, a mysterious wave emanated from Bai Lingxi's body. Numerous grotesque, large and small Zerg immediately rose from the ground and quickly gathered behind Bai Lingxi. Densely packed, like a black cloud, overwhelming Tianqian. Countless 7th, 8th, and even 9th level insect soldiers. The terrifying aura that emanates instantly merges into one, extremely terrifying. It seems to tear the sky apart. Human Su Zi, I have an army of tens of millions, how do you deal with it? Bai Lingxi stared at Su Zi, and said with a light smile. Tens of millions of Zerg. Among them are many high-ranking insect soldiers. With so many soldiers, she is enough to block gods and kill gods, and Buddhas to block and kill Buddhas. Su Zi heard the words. Why should I deal with it? As long as you are caught, your soldiers can be dealt with. Just like the core of the territory of the human race is the weakness. The Queen Mother of Zerg is the biggest weakness. Get rid of the Zerg Empress, and the other Zerg soldiers will die automatically without attacking themselves. Because their lives, at the moment of birth, were already bound to their mother. Hey, I knew you had such a plan. If you didn't have a whole card, how could you think I would agree to fight with you? Bai Lingxi chuckled. She herself wanted to find Su Zi. Now that he has delivered it himself, that would save me an extra trip. A divine thought moved. 3 weapons exuding terrifying Wia emerged from his body. A long sword, a set of armor, and a pair of purple boots that emit lightning from time to time. The holy sword exuding golden light exudes the aura of tearing everything. Wearing a gold-plated armor, every part of the body's skin is completely protected in the armor. Only the 4 eyes are exposed, staring at Luo. 3 low-level artifacts are enough to suppress everything. She has enough confidence that Su Zi cannot break through its defenses. How? Do you still have the ability to catch me now? Bai Lingxi smiled lightly, a little proud in his heart. 3 artifacts, even if it is repeated over the entire world battlefield, no one can do it. Only the Zerg has this courage. In order to capture Su Zi, They Zerg are fully prepared this time. Suzy was indeed surprised. Unexpectedly, Bai Lingxi took out 3 artifacts. Don't think that artifacts are easy to get. As far as Suzy knows. Among the Lord Gods of Blue Star, often among hundreds or thousands of Lord Spirits, not one Lord may have a divine weapon. Rare artifact. Artifacts suitable for the gods themselves are even more rare. Looks like this time, I'm going to get rich overnight. Talking, comma. Dazzling light burst out from Suzy's eyes, and his eyes turned golden, mysterious and sacred. Surrender. The majestic voice came out from Suzy's mouth, turning into the rumbling sound of the heavenly Tao, resounding between the heaven and the earth, and the transmission did not know how far away. When the majestic voice came to Bai Lingxi's ears, Bai Lingxi's 4 eyes suddenly became confused, and his expression showed a little struggle. But to no avail. After a short moment, the 4 eyes have turned into hollows. The next moment, he knelt down on one knee to Suzy. Owner. When the sound was transmitted to the tens of millions of insect soldiers behind him, they didn't even have the slightest resistance. Owner. Asking for flowers. Owner. Owner. Tens of millions of Zerg lowered their heads and shouted, and prostrated themselves at Suzy's feet. The moment they raised their eyes, only the fiery belief in Suzy remained in their eyes. In the jade rabbit collar, Chu Yuyan and Bai Mengmeng were dumbfounded. When Bai Lingxi took out the 3 artifacts, she even worried about Suzy in her heart. But the next moment, the situation reversed instantly. Suzy said, surrender, tightly. The terrifying Bai Lingxi and its tens of thousands of Zerg were really suppressed and surrendered. Certainly, they understand that it can't be that simple. But this did not prevent them from being shocked by Suzy's horror. Sister Yanur, is His Highness Shen so scary? Bai Mengmeng's eyes widened and she tugged on Chu Yuyan's arm. Chu Yuyan shook her head. How could she know? Probably only the Lord of Vermilion Bird. Only then can we really see where the limit of his strength is. That level, far beyond their reach. Hee. 2 sisters, let me tell you, the master is not only strong, but also very big and long-lasting. Suddenly, the little goblin smiled while covering her bright red lips. Hearing this, the 2 women instantly understood what the little goblin meant. Immediately, Chu Yuyan's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even a clever and eccentric little dark loli not only has a red face, bows her head shyly, she is really pretty. They obviously didn't expect. Elder Sister Fairy suddenly joked with them. Ahem. Suzy was high above the sky, so powerful that he heard the jokes of the goblin himself. Even with his thick skin, not only a little blush. Little fairy, I need to clean up. Report, 33%. Chapter 135. Harvest of Terror, Surge of Power of Faith. Shaking his head, he put the goblin aside. Suzy flew to Bai Lingxi. I've said it all, as long as you get rid of you, the other tens of millions of Zerg don't need to spend a single soldier. The Lord has great supernatural powers, and he will surely ascend to the top in the future. Bai Lingxi didn't refute, only the 4 eyes were filled with incomparable fanaticism. The purification of Shenliu is really terrifying. Seeing the way Bai Lingxi worshipped him at this moment, Suzy couldn't help but wonder. With its strength beyond the 9th level, he used the purification technique of Shenliu. In a short time, thousands of believers were purified. Even Bai Lingxi, the arrogance of the Zerg race, can only become his follower. If Shenliu became the Empress of God, I don't know if I can purify a world with one thought. If so, that would be a real horror. June 47 inches my lord, this is all my savings, please accept it, my lord. Bai Lingxi suddenly took off the 3 artifacts he had just put on, and at the same time gave the storage ring that contained all his savings. Suzy nodded and accepted it directly. After all, Bai Lingxi has become her own, so it is useless to keep these 3 artifacts in her hands. 3 artifacts, 30 million source crystals, and a little rich woman. Suzy's spiritual thoughts penetrated into the ring. Then they found a mountain of source crystals and a mountain of various equipment. These equipments are obviously used to equip bug soldiers. But now it's his too. Suzy looked at the 3 artifacts in his hand. Holy armor. Quality. God level. Level. Inferior artifact. Features. Absolute defense. Introduction. Perfectly activated, it can block the full attack of the next god. Amethyst crystal boots. Quality. God level. Level. Inferior artifact. Features. Absolute speed. Introduction. Fully activated, up to the speed of light. Bright holy sword. Quality. God level. Level. Inferior artifact. Features. Absolutely sharp. Introduction. Fully activated, it can tear all substances. God level. Is it a level above the legend? Susie immediately discovered the difference in the artifact. The quality is no longer purple or golden legend, but God level. But almost all the knowledge about the God level was blocked. Lords below the God level are not allowed to contact. Only by entering the corresponding Lord University, the regiment can get in touch with higher knowledge. And what about the Supreme? Susie doesn't just think of his own heroes, each of them is supremely talented. In other words, their talent is still above the God level. It's hard to imagine where they can go in the future. Susie smashed his mouth. The power of these 3 artifacts is undoubtedly terrifying. If they are fully activated and revived, Susie may have to rely on the emptiness of his territory to escape. But to fully revive a divine weapon, all it takes is divine power. With the strength of the 9th level, even if you use an artifact, it can only have a little power. But Bai Lingxi obviously couldn't think of it. Susie was able to spiritually purify everything. Before she could react, he turned her into his loyal follower. There are more than 10 million loyal believers. I don't know how much faith in the territory can reach every day. Susie thought, and immediately opened the territory data panel. Territory. Natural territory. Affiliation. Susie. Level. 90. Area. 5,000 square kilometers. Building. Watching pool. City Lord's mansion. Pond. Fan building. Transformation. 5,000 source crystals per day. 500 source points per day. Residence. 13 million. Power of faith. 15 million strands per day. The power of faith is as high as 15 million every day. Susie's pupils shrank sharply. He expected that his power of faith would explode after receiving tens of millions of Zerg. But I didn't expect it to be as high as 15 million per day. In this case, my speed of condensing the Godhead is no worse than that of any lord. Because of the huge territory, the power of faith needed to condense the Godhead can be called massive. At the previous rate of adding hundreds of strands of faith every day, I don't know how long it will take. Compared with other lords who gather faith, his speed is undoubtedly lagging behind. But now there are more than 10 million Zerg, but it directly speeds up the speed at which Susie obtains the power of faith. With so much power of faith, the average lord may be able to directly try to condense the Godhead. But Susie can't. There is only one chance to condense the Godhead. If it fails, there will be no chance to become a god in this life. He can clearly perceive, even the power of faith of 15 million per day is far from enough. My lord, this time the Zergs are dispatched. There are a total of 3 Zerg Tianzhao targeting you. At this time, Bai Lingxi spoke again, and then explained the 2 plans of the Zerg in full. Seduction. The corner of Susie's mouth twitched. Could it be that he is such a hungry person in the eyes of the Zerg? Zerg Mother Queen, as a social race based on maternity, which one is not face to face. If it wasn't for the power of faith provided by the Zerg Empress, he would have crushed this group of disgusting people to ashes. However, there are actually 2 Zerg arrogances, and the number of bug soldiers under their command is no less than that of Bailingzi. If you take them under your command, then you won't have to worry about the power of faith anymore. Susie secretly thought, also keep their plans in mind. At the time of return, lay a net of heaven and earth. But when the time comes, we don't know who will be hunting who in 5.3. Then Susie took out that subsidiary contract and threw it to Bai Lingxi. Sign it. Yes, my lord. Bai Lingxi signed his name on it without hesitation. Susie nodded. This is the real insurance. No one can say for sure whether there will be a way to restore it among the gods. Shenliu, you have brought these tens of millions of Zerg into your world. Susie withdrew that subsidiary contract and said to Shenliu behind him. Obviously, it is impossible for these Zerg to be placed in the territory. It is a good choice to let them enter the 3,000 worlds accompanied by the Willows. Thank you, my lord. Shenliu's voice was slightly excited. Million buggers. She will get a terrifying evolution. Report. 34%. Chapter 136. Shocking the World Battlefield, Body of Faith, Battlefield Activities. Shenliu went to gather tens of thousands of Zerg. As one by one Zerg enters its world, it can be clearly perceived that the aura of Shenliu is gradually getting stronger. This peculiar way of evolution also amazed Susie. Also at this time, 2 prompts appeared in front of Susie's eyes. Congratulations, for solving the Zerg Lark, reward 20 million source crystals and 1 million source points. Congratulations, you have obtained 150 million killing points. After reading the 2 prompts, I was immediately pleasantly surprised. The harvest this time is simply too great. 3 artifacts, 50 million source crystals. 1 million source points, piled up into mountains of equipment of various qualities. The power of faith is now as high as 15 million strands per day. The attachment of Bailingzi and tens of thousands of Zergs directly obtained 150 million killing points. The harvest was horrific. I really like Zerg more and more. Suzy not only smiled and murmured, now I have about 85 million source crystals, and 500 Fengyuan points. It is enough to complete the territory turn. Suzy is not only curious about what changes will happen to the territory 14 after turning towards God's domain, but it is obviously not the most suitable time in the world battlefield. It is best to perform another turn after returning to the endless continent. At the same time, countless people in the world battlefield also discovered the change of Suzy's killing point at this time. No. 1. Terran Suzy, 190 million points, position expandable. Second place. Morido, Blood Demon Race, 30 million points. Position expandable. No. 3. Terran He Wushwang, 28 million points. Fourth place. Chiyoko of the Lingzhu, 27.7 million points, location. FK, 150 million, what did the human race Sulong do? Why suddenly there are more than 100 million killing points? Is he really a human race? I'm afraid it didn't change from the demon race. How is this possible? 150 million. How is it possible to get so many kill points at once? How many kills do you have to kill? Devil. The third rank Zerg Tianzhao by Lingxi disappeared again. Could it be that Suzy killed her again? Worry, the distance between them was tens of thousands of kilometers before. How could they kill Bai Lingxi so quickly? How strong is he? I finally understand why the Zerg offer such a high bounty. Such a character is too scary. Such a character is too monstrous, and he must be a powerful god of the human race. When we go back, we must report the race and let them strengthen the monitoring of him. If there is a chance, we must get rid of him. The Tianzhao of countless world battlefields were shocked by Suzy's new killing point, and were also surprised by Suzy's killing by Lingxi across thousands of miles. Human Suzy. The killing point is enough, you can kill. Morido, the Blood Demon tribe, also discovered the change of Suzy's killing point. Obtaining more than 100 million points at one time is quite shocking even for him. But he was just making a wedding dress for himself. Awesome, this Suzy led by Vermilion Bird is so fierce, he is a ruthless person. First kill the angel race Keisha, and then kill the insect race Lark. I'm getting more and more interested in you. He Wushwang narrowed his eyes slightly. How to obtain more than 100 million killing points at one time? It's about to evolve. Suzy stood in the void, looking at the miracle. Found it surrounded by light. Then he knew that he was about to advance to the 9th level. And Shenliu will also become the second hero to enter the 9th rank. However, the Devil's Tree is just short of a goal, and it won't take long for the parasitic spores to grow. Calculate the time. The second day of entering the world battlefield is coming to an end. Soon it will be the last day of the world battlefield. Undoubtedly the most intense day on the battlefields of the world. Before leaving, all the heroes of Suzy are enough to step into the 9th order. Soon, the evolution light on Shenliu dissipated. Its body size has not changed much. Entering the 8th level, you can already freely control your own size. With the height of Shenliu 10 meters today, it is enough. Shenliu. Race. Plant. Quality. Supreme. Grade. 90. Talent. 3000 worlds. Physique. 18 million. Agility. 15 million. 1999. Skills. Purification. Deadly Lancet. Source of life. Immortal body. Body of faith. Using faith to condense the incarnation outside the body. Growth stage. Mature. Loyalty. 100% permanent. Introduction. Turn into a god with mortals. That's right, you'll be directly promoted to level 90, and your combat power will break through the tens of millions mark. Especially the spirit, it is as high as 19.99 million. The skill has an extra body of faith, which turns out to be an incarnation outside the body. Suzy was inexplicably shocked. Using the power of faith to condense the incarnation outside the body does not seem like a life that has not yet become a god can do it. It can only be said that the quality of Shenliu is too high and too special. Waiting for Shenliu to collect tens of millions of Zerg into the 3000 worlds. Suzy let several heroes return to the territory. And he flew in front of the girls. At this time, Bai Mengmeng and Chu Yuyan's blushing faces recovered slightly. The four girls are discussing the topic among girls. Seeing Suzy coming back, they immediately surrounded Suzy one by one. Suzy just wanted to inquire about the future plans of the two girls. But at this time, a soaring golden beam of light suddenly appeared on the battlefield. Everyone looked up. Legendary treasure chest. Bai Mengmeng exclaimed tenderly. Suzy shook his head. The light of the legendary treasure chest is not so strong. And when people are in doubt, a voice without the slightest emotion sounded. Everyone, the world battlefield has entered the last day, and the remaining number of people on the battlefield at this time, 46.78 million. Based on this, Tianyin said that the treasure chest will appear in 3 hours. Those who want to participate in the legendary treasure chest competition in the world battlefield can sign up to participate. 3 hours later, the world battlefield will be transferred to the central area. Report, 34%. Chapter 137. Crazy World Battlefield, Lucky Bracelet, number of applicants, 31 million. 10 legendary treasure chests. What the hell, even if I risk my life today, I will go. Crazy, really crazy. When did the legendary treasure chest become so cheap? 10 of them are sold. As expected of the Tianzhou tournament jointly held by the overlord race of the universe, this reward is that all the gods will grab it when they come. Don't ask for more, as long as I can get one. Whoever dares to snatch me in the sky, I will fight with my life. Grass, whoever is afraid of you, just hit and kill. Don't ask for more, as long as there is a legendary treasure chest, I will be satisfied. This kind of treasure, as long as you get one, it is enough to counterattack your life. I want to sign up. The legendary treasure chest must be mine. When they heard that there were 10 legendary treasure chests, the people on the battlefield all over the world were excited. Legends are called legends. It is because of its high quality that it is rare in the world. Every legendary outfit or building, compared with other qualities, it has incomparable advantages. Legendary buildings and equipment. The most powerful point is its terrifying growth rate. Purple quality equipment can only evolve into artifacts at most, and its potential has been exhausted, and it cannot be improved anymore. But the quality of legends is different, each of them has unlimited potential. The 10 supreme artifacts of the human race. It is said that the legendary equipment has been upgraded step by step with the top 10. That is to say, every legendary equipment has the possibility to become a supreme artifact. One can imagine, legendary equipment is precious. In Blue Star, there are almost few legendary equipment on the market. Once there, it will immediately cause competition among the great families. Every time it appears, it will trigger a bloodbath, and even some gods will fall because of it. It's so bold to take out 10 legendary buildings at once. Is it the same in other battlefields? Suzy shook his head, thinking it was impossible. If this is the case, even the Podmaster race may not be able to bear it. However, in the world battlefield, in order to cause the arrogance of various races to fight, it really costs money. Only the first world battlefield opened. Before the real fight started, there were only 46.78 million people left. In 2 days, the number of participants was halved. After the final fight, among the 100 million Tianzhou, I wonder if there will be 10 million left. Those who died can be said to be a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Even by Mengmeng and Chu Yuyan. If it weren't for good luck to meet me, I am afraid that the territory has been breached and killed by the Zerg now. Can only say, the world battlefield itself was opened up for those monsters. The weak can only be the food for their promotion. It's cruel and realistic, but Suzy has a vested interest and won't say anything. All Suzy can do is keep getting stronger. Become God. Become supreme. Your Highness, this is for you. Quote, Chu Yuyan took off a string of purple crystal bracelets on her right wrist and handed them to Suzy. What is this? Suzy took it and looked at it. There seems to be golden brilliance flowing in the purple crystal, which is crystal clear. This is a lucky bracelet, which can increase your luck value, and it may save you from danger at a critical moment. I hope it can help you. Chu Yuyan explained softly, her voice was sweet and gentle. When speaking, Chu Yuyan's little hands were pulled together, and the tips of her pointed ears were slightly red. This is the first time she has given a gift to a boy, and she has been in a deep boudoir before. From childhood to adulthood, there was only Bai Mengmeng as a playmate. I thought I would be married off in a daze, but I didn't expect to meet His Highness here. Since ancient times, heroes love beauties, and beauties also love heroes. For Chu Yuyan, at the most dangerous moment, Suzy who rescued her is no different from a great hero. Thank you, I accept it. Suzy thanked, and the data of the lucky bracelet appeared in front of him. Lucky bracelet. Type. Equipment. Quality. Purple. Function. Turn bad luck into good luck again and again. Introduction. I pay for your luck. Very simple function, but very precious. Luck is illusory, but in this world full of fantasy, it actually exists. And this bracelet that can increase your luck. Valuable. But more important is the girl's heart. Suzy chuckled and slowly put it on his wrist. At the same time, keep the girl's kindness in mind. See Suzy carefully on the wrist. Chu Yuyan smiled lightly. 2 cute dimples appeared on her pretty face. He quietly hid his other hand behind his back. I hope this bracelet will bring good luck to His Royal Highness, and the flag will be a success. Chu Yuyan knew that Suzy would not miss this opportunity. She had nothing else to do but pray for him behind her back. I will. Suzy nodded confidently. His eyes flickered with a sense of war. Boo. Suddenly, a sweet cherry lips kissed Suzy's face. Immediately, the surrounding women looked at Bai Mengmeng in astonishment. Bai Mengmeng quickly put down her raised toes, jumped behind Chu Yuyan in a few steps, and said generously, Your Highness, Sister Yunur gave you a lucky bracelet. I don't have that, so I can give you a girl's kiss. Chu Yuyan pursed her lips slightly, and cast a glance at Bai Mengmeng from the corner of her eyes. I didn't expect this little girl to be so bold. Suzy wiped the place where she was kissed with her hands, and there was still a girl's fragrance on it. Okay, when I come back, I will bring you a gift for each of you. Suzy smiled and waved goodbye to them. Then he brought Xiao Wanqing and the little goblin to the territory. Just back on the steel ramparts, Xiao Wanqing and the little goblin took Suzy's hand. What's wrong? Suzy stopped and looked at the 2 women. But the 2 women did not speak. Instead, he moved forward suddenly, and planted 2 strawberries next to Suzy's face de nuohao from left to right. Master, is the family happy? The little fairy put her arms around Suzy's arm, tilted her head and asked mischievously. It's okay, Mr. Shang. Suzy shook his head helplessly, then looked at Xiao Wanqing. If she can kiss, I can. A blush flashed across Xiao Wanqing's cold face, but she still said resolutely. Yes, of course, you are mine. How can you not? Suzy laughed and hugged the waists of the 2 peerless beauties from left to right. Then the territory moved towards the central bank of the world at an extremely fast speed. This place is not too far from the center of the world. Instead of waiting for the teleportation of the world, it is better to rush there by yourself. At the same time, Suzy also signed up for the festival in the reminder that appeared. Also saw the number of people who attended the event, 31 million. After this time, the Tianzhao who came in is really out of 10. Report, 34%. Chapter 138. Mind, Keisha died. Sister Yunur, you actually gave that bracelet to His Highness. When you go back, why did your ancestor of the Chu family explain it? In the collar of the jade rabbit, Bai Mengmeng and Chu Yuyan sat on the ground, watching the direction Suzy left. Nothing. No explanation needed. Chu Yuyan gently pulled the few strands of black hair hanging from her forehead. She smiled at the corner of her mouth, not paying much attention to it. It looks like a young girl Waichun. Bai Mengmeng nodded. No more words. Just put her little head on Chu Yuanxiang's shoulder. This life and death crisis had a great impact on both of them. If His Royal Highness Suzy hadn't arrived in time, they might have disappeared. At the same time, it made them realize the gap between them and those top monsters. Mengmeng, we need to become stronger. Suddenly, Chu Yuyan turned her head to Bai Mengmeng and said, That's right, I want to become as strong as His Highness, I want to become a god. When the time comes, I will go to the Universe Sea. Bai Mengmeng is full of anger and authenticity. Only after experiencing it, Tuan Xiao is precious to be alive. I'll be with you. Chu Yuyan smiled lightly, reached out and wiped Bai Mengmeng's head. Looking at Blood Moon's eyes, 523 was brighter than ever. In this life, the 2 of them will never be separated. In the world battlefield, the sun is the king of the mountains. Boom. There was a violent explosion that oscillated for dozens of miles. It's pretty good at running, little angel. A hoarse and cold voice sounded from the smoke, and a figure gradually walked out. Stepping on a pair of blood-stained wings. It was the blood demon Morido. And under its feet, it was Keisha, a slightly embarrassed angel family. Despicable, if you have the ability to fight one-on-one, bully the few with more, what is the ability? Keisha said with grief and indignation. At the same time, billowing smoke dispersed. On the surrounding hills, figures with different looks emerged one after another. Ghosts, trolls, titans, shadows, elves. Hundreds of Tianzhao of various races, with red eyes and upturned mouth corners, looked at Keisha on the ground with disdain. They are me themselves, so how can they bully the less? They are me themselves, so how can they bully the less? The same words rang out from the mouths of hundreds of Tianzhao of various races at the same time. Only Morido, who was stepping on Keisha's wings, did not make a sound. Looking around at hundreds of arrogances of all races. These are only 1% of his avatar. In this world battlefield, already hundreds of thousands of arrogances of different races have been refined into their own incarnations. I thought you were dead, but I didn't expect that you were still alive, and you dare to come after me. I have to say that you are very courageous, Morido said indifferently, and suddenly raised his eyebrows. Huh, you actually became a subordinate of the human race. Who is it? Human Suzy. Morido stared at Keisha and asked with a frown. Kesha was silent, but Morido already had a guess in his heart. Ha ha ha, the dignified princess of the angel clan has become a subordinate of the human race. If it is known, you will probably be kicked out of the angel clan, right? Morido couldn't help laughing, as if he had seen something strange. The proud and arrogant angel will one day become a subordinate of the human race. If it gets out, I'm afraid Wanzu Soybean will be laughed off. When Kesha heard this, her eyes were red, and she was about to struggle to get up. There was a dark red light under Morido's feet, and he stepped on Keisha again. Stop struggling and become my avatar. 1. Morido's eyes burst into red light, and the blood-red thread in his hand was about to wrap around Keisha. Impossible. Kesha's eyes were red, and the pain in her wings made her tearful. But the body of the angel race cannot be defiled by blood demons. Suzy, BGBF, I hate you. If there is an afterlife, I will definitely trample you under my feet. Keisha suppressed the tears in her eyes, and cursed Su Sheng in her heart. Then close your eyes. It directly detonated the energy in the body. Boom. Another monstrous explosion sounded, the earth collapsed, the mountains were broken from it, and the reverberation reverberated thousands of miles around. A Tianzhao of the Ninth Order Overlord race blew himself up. Its power is comparable to that of a star destroyer. An incomparably huge mushroom cloud curled up in the sky. A semicircular crater with a diameter of thousands of square meters was directly blasted on the spot. Everything in place disappeared. Ahem, ahem. Suddenly, an eager cough sounded, and then a hand came out from the ground. Damn angel, he chose to blew himself up. A stream of blood flowed from the corner of Morido's mouth, but was licked clean by his barbed long tongue. Next moment, among the dozens of surviving incarnations around, suddenly one body twitched slightly, and fell directly to the ground the next moment. But Morido seemed to cherish the deliciousness after eating something, and all the scars on his body healed in the blink of an eye. As long as he still has a clone, then he is immortal and invincible. Human Suzy, he will definitely participate in the event, so I don't have to go all the way to find it now. See you in 3 hours. Morido fills in his name on the prompt page. 10 legendary treasure chests. FK, the human race and several big races are going to bleed a lot this time. I said why the ancestors this time, why must I participate? It turned out to be because of this. Ha ha ha, those idiots didn't come, I'm afraid I'll regret it to death. In one territory, He Wushwang sat on the head of a huge turtle, staring at the prompt in front of him, his eyes glowed. Even as the direct descendant of his God King family, he only owns one legendary building. And there are actually 10 legendary treasure chests here. What a godsend opportunity. If you miss it, you will definitely be struck by lightning. Sign up, I'm sure to win. Suzy, I'm sorry this time. Leave this opportunity to me. He Wushwang muttered nonstop, and wrote down his name in the reminder. And under him, it was a giant cyan snake wrapped in several circles. Its entire body is actually connected to the tortoise that is a kilometer in size below. If anyone sees this scene, absolutely shocked. This turned out to be a living Xuanwu. At the same time, Suzy, who was sitting in the galloping, natural collar, suddenly frowned. Kesha dead. Report. 34%. Chapter 139. Keisha's death. What? Kesha dead. Sitting by the side, Xiao Wanqing, who was cutting the spiritual fruit for Suzy, had a flash of horror in her beautiful eyes. Although Keisha later became Suzy's subsidiary. But she is the princess of the Angel clan. Its strength is so terrifying that even in the entire world, it is difficult to find a few who can compare with it. But now Suzy actually said. She died. Well, and not just her. Suzy felt that each mark in the subsidiary contract was gradually disappearing. There were 1 or 2 affiliated deaths before, but that was because they were not strong enough and were killed by others. But now the remaining affiliates died one by one in a short period of time. This made Suzy feel a little wrong. Is there a massacre going on, and they're unlucky? The goblin thought for a while. No, they are too far away. Suzy shook his head. Some affiliates were separated by millions of miles, and they were also killed in a very short time. Come on, let's go to the Hall of Valor. Suzy said and stood up. Xiao Wanqing and Little Fairy followed closely behind. Soon, the 3 of them entered Nuo Da's Hall of Valor. At this time, Hall of Heroes has already been upgraded to the 9th rank by Suzy. It is easy to revive the 9th rank powerhouse. Yes, no to consume 100,000 source crystals to revive the subordinate angel clan Lu. Yes. With a wave of Susie's hand, 100,000 source crystals were scattered on the large formation in the center of the Hall of Valor. Next moment, an extremely dazzling golden light emitted from the formation, and the entire Hall of Valor turned into a golden ocean in an instant. And in the center of the 5-star pattern of the big formation, a beautiful figure as white as snow slowly transformed from emptiness to reality from the air. After its body was fully resurrected, the golden light slowly dissipated. Master, no, it's the human Suzy. When did he die too? And the 2 women next to him died together. What a coincidence. I didn't expect everyone to meet after death. Slowly opening her eyes, Keisha's golden pupils flashed a trace of confusion, and then quickly recovered. But the first thing she saw was the human race who cursed fiercely in her heart before she died. Immediately, the original pain of death seemed to have weakened a little in an instant. Human lord, you dare to take it as a subordinate, I tell you, don't let me see you in the next life. Otherwise what? Keisha thinks that everyone is dead now, who is afraid of whom, so she wants to speak out what is in her heart. But before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Suzy. Suzy had a strange expression on his face, and his eyes were a little dodgy. The little goblin covered her mouth and smiled lightly, even the cold Xiao Wanqing had a rare smile on her lips. Human Suzy, let me tell you, don't be arrogant, when I find you after my reincarnation, I will definitely trample you under my feet. Keisha stretched out her arms angrily, staring at Sue angrily. She has never suffered such a big loss in her previous life. Even Morido of the Blood Demon clan must have given her a hard time before she died. But only with Suzy, she suffered the biggest loss. Suzy covered her face, she couldn't stand it any longer. This really tested his endurance as a man. You are not dead, I brought you back to life. If you don't believe me, pinch yourself to see if it hurts. Suzy said lightly. The eyes are carefully appreciating Keisha's enchanting and graceful figure. Have to say, the princess of the angel family has a perfect appearance and figure. Among the women Suzy met, I'm afraid that only the goblin can stand shoulder to shoulder with her in stature. What? Ask for flowers. Keisha froze for a moment, her gaze swept over the skin of Ryu's arm, she felt a little stiff for a moment. I'm not dead. Keisha's voice was trembling, and she stretched out her hand to pinch her arm. She felt the warmth of the skin and a little pain. He lowered his head and scanned his body from top to bottom. Immediately, a blush spread from the neck, climbed to the forehead, passed through the raised ears, and climbed to the back. A puff of white steam rushed out from its brilliant golden head. Recalling what he said just now in front of the human race Suzy. At this moment, Keisha wished she could find a crack in the ground and get into it. Her complexion turned blue for a while, and the sun tightened for a while. Crying in my heart, I said, it's better to die. Seeing Kesha like this, Suzy suddenly remembered a special way of death in her previous life, social death. What? Keisha's clear singing voice gave out piercing screams. Subconsciously, he wanted to take out his clothes from the storage ring, but he remembered that his storage ring could not be resurrected with him. In an instant, Keisha covered her body and wrapped herself tightly with the wings behind her. Master, I was wrong, can you give me a piece of clothing? Keisha blushed and said softly. I didn't catch it. Suzy shook his head and said. You. Keisha's face was as rosy as an apple overflowing with juice, and water seemed to be dripping when touched lightly. Host. After all, Kesha hesitated. Suzy nodded, the goblin smiled lightly, and a set of lady's palace attire appeared in her hand. She stepped forward and handed it to Kesha. Keisha took it with a blushing face, then glanced at Suzy, a little hesitant. I'll go out and wait for you. Suzy chuckled, turned around and took Xiao Wanqing away. This little girl has a tame feeling. Report. 35%. Chapter 140. Gorefiend incarnates Dafa, arrives, surprise. 5 minutes later. Mingyu Lake in the pavilion in the center. Keisha was wearing an azure palace dress, sitting opposite Suzy with her head lowered, and the snow-white wings behind her folded together. She was still a little afraid to look at Suzy, after all, she was too embarrassed just now. So, Morido planned to train you into an incarnation outside your body, so you blew yourself up. Suzy looked at Keisha in surprise. This little angel princess who is afraid of pain. There is such a resolute side. Well, how can the body of our angel race be defiled by foreigners? Keisha raised her snow-white neck proudly and said, but she seemed to remember something again, and quickly lowered her head. The stone table was lowered to say, 217, and 2 crystal-clear index fingers were playing with each other. Suzy chuckled lightly. Keisha in this appearance is really cute. Then my other subordinates were also killed by this Morido? Suzy asked. That's right. Very few people have practiced the blood demon incarnation Dafa of the blood demon clan. I didn't expect this Morido to succeed. When I go back, I will definitely tell my father to send troops to attack again and destroy the original land. Keisha frowned, with a trace of fear in her eyes. Obviously frightened by Morido. If she hadn't been resurrected by Suzy, I'm afraid she really died. It's not that she doesn't have resurrection props. But obviously if he is resurrected, he will not be able to escape Morido's pursuit. After practicing the blood demon incarnation Dafa, his nose will become sharper than that of a kobold. He can find any aura he has touched, no matter how far away it is. Kesha went on to explain. In the tree of knowledge in the family, she has seen the name of the blood demon incarnate Dafa more than once. I don't know how many thousands of years ago. Once, a blood demon god who cultivated into the blood demon incarnation Dafa secretly controlled an angel and entered the angel universe. I don't know how many killings have been caused, and this will completely wipe out the incarnation of the angel race. But this is only the family of angels. Back then, an unknown number of races were swallowed by it, and the whole clan turned into the incarnation of that blood demon. Its tentacles reach every corner of the universe. In the end, multiple supremes in the universe joined forces to make a move. Fish it out directly in time and space before it reaches its peak. Only then will it be resolved, and a scourge will be resolved for the universe. Fortunately, Morido has not become a god now. If he becomes a god, I am afraid that it will be difficult for anyone in the world to restrain him. Keisha disclosed to Suzy all the information she knew about the Dafa of Gorfine's incarnation. She hoped that Suzy would go back to the Angel clan before going back. Report the news. Blood demon incarnate Dafa, so powerful. Suzy's fingers tapped on the stone table, making a da sound. Suzy, the blood demon Dafa can be practiced by anyone. Keisha, the rumor is, but as far as I know, so far, Morido is only the second person to succeed in cultivation. She saw that Suzy was interested in the practice of blood demon incarnation. After all, such a powerful method. Many of the supreme beings of various races who shot back then brought a copy back with them. But countless years have passed, and there is no research on why. So she naturally didn't believe that Suzy could practice. Suzy nodded. He himself has no idea of cultivation. After all, the territory is his foundation, and everything else is nothing but vain. But Chi-Chi can, with her terrifying aptitude for magic. What if we can analyze the Dafa of bleeding demon incarnation? Then wouldn't he have an extra powerful whole card? It can even be used to collect news from all races in the universe and build a huge information network that spans all races in the universe. Thinking of this possibility, Suzy is more concerned about Morido. Simultaneously, subsidiary contract only Alice and the reappearing name of Shaw are left at this time. The imprints of the rest of the people completely dissipated, and it was obvious that they were all dead. By the way, Master, Morido seems to miss you. What should we do? At this time, Kesha suddenly said. There is a little worry in the eyes. Oh, so he will definitely participate in this event. When Suzy heard this, two golden lights appeared in his eyes. Of course, he will not let go of this opportunity. Keisha wondered, not knowing why Suzy asked that. Then give him a big gift. Suzy chuckled lightly. At this moment, the rapidly flying territory gradually stopped after coasting for a while. Here we are. After Suzy finished speaking, he flew towards the steel city wall first. Several others followed suit. After landing on the steel city wall, Keisha saw the golden beam of light piercing the sky ahead. Only then did I understand where I was. The center of the world battlefield. She didn't expect that Suzy would bring them here first. In the huge beam of light 3.4 in the distance, you can vaguely see a golden treasure chest floating in it. There is no one around. What are you going to do here? Kesha asked puzzledly. Before the time is up, the 10 legendary treasure chests cannot be opened. Of course it's a surprise for those alien races who will appear here. Suzy replied with a smile. He assured that this is definitely an unprecedented surprise. Seeing Suzy's expression, Keisha shivered subconsciously. She always felt that Suzy was planning some bad idea again. It's a bit false today, and it will explode tomorrow. Report. 35%. Chapter 140. Shocking Keisha, ambush. Suzy flew into the air and looked around. A vast expanse of land. Deathly silence. Only the Tongtian beam of light bursts out with dazzling golden light. But Suzy knows, this will be the last calm before the war. Tens of millions of Tianzhou of various races fight here. No doubt, everything here will be smashed to ashes. Master, How do you plan to arrange it? Behind Suzy. All the combat forces in the territory gather together in one row. 9th Order 9-leaf swordgrass. 9th grade willow. The 8th level top-level catfish tree. The 8th Order top parasitic seed. 8th Order goblin. 9th Order Zerg Empress by Link C. Keisha, the princess of the 9th Order Angel clan. Even Chi-Chi raised her 2 small rabbit ears and stood upright. Suzy takes a closer look. Only then did I discover that Chi-Chi is already a 3rd-tier magician. To know. It has only been 2 or 3 days since she was exposed to magic. Such magical talent, it is enough to make those magic scholars who have never reached the 3rd level in their lifetime cry with jealousy. Steel walls, 2090 tier huge pea cannons, each with 16 huge muzzles full of greenery. Stand facing the sky. 1007th level heroic sun elf girls held purple quality bows and arrows in their hands. Intense fighting spirit. Apparently they knew this will be an unprecedented battle in their territory. But they have no fear. He looked at Suzy with burning eyes. Glance over them. Suzy chuckled. These are the team he has accumulated. Xiaoju, Bai Lingxi, Keisha, you 3 should kill any aliens who want to get close to the treasure chest. Suzy first made arrangements for the 3. After all 3 have peerless individual combat power. If not for myself, the 2 of them will continue to occupy the 2nd and 3rd positions. The whole world battlefield can be compared with it. Less than 1 palm. Yes, my lord, Xiaoju's serious voice sounded. At your command, my man. Bai Lingxi stared at Suzy with fiery eyes. Let Keisha on one side see her wings blow up and her hairs stand on her head. What is that look? Crazy, obsessed, fearless. Keisha has no doubts. She can die for Suzy. But she is a Zerg. Aren't they hunting Suzy? Why are you adoring him crazily now? Look at Suzy again. I just feel that this handsome human lord is full of mystery. Something wrong. Suzy looked at Keisha. Yes, of course, master, you don't intend to use your own strength to fight against tens of millions of clans, arrogance, do you? Keisha asked with disbelieving eyes. Over time. She can now call the master very smoothly. Certainly. That's not the point. The point is now, does Suzy really intend to do so? Is he crazy? Of course not. Suzy shook his head. With so many people, it's definitely unrealistic to kill them all. Hearing this, Keisha breathed a sigh of relief, but Suzy's next words made her heart ache. So the goal is to kill half of them. Keisha was dumbfounded. How much is half? Suzy took a look at the current number of registrations, and it has reached 35 million. Not much, 20 million will do. Master, why don't we stop playing so big? Keisha lowered her eyebrows and begged. She was just resurrected. I don't want to die again. If Suzy died too, then she would really be finished. To this, he shook his head and refused. Such a good opportunity, don't seize it. So if he wants to become a god, he has to wait until the year of the monkey. These 2 pieces of equipment are for your use. Seeing Keisha's deadened look, Suzy took out 2 pieces of equipment from the inventory and handed them to Keisha. What? Keisha was puzzled, but when she saw it clearly, she was a smart body, and her breathing became rapid. Hiss. God, artifact, master, is this an artifact? Keisha felt the blood flow all over her body accelerate, and stared at Suzy with fiery eyes. Some can't believe it. Suzy nodded. Confirmed by Suzy, Keisha's breathing became more rapid. These are 2 artifacts. The master actually let him use such precious equipment as the artifact. In the clan, every ancestor who had a divine weapon treasured the divine weapon to death. If you don't even look at it, the fields are lacking. And now Suzy unexpectedly took out 2 at will. Master, how? Master, with these 2 artifacts, even if I die, I will keep the treasure chest for you. Put on the artifact, holy armor, and hold the bright holy sword. Keisha suddenly felt that her strength was strengthened dozens, hundreds of times. The whole body is shrouded in a sacred breath. And these 2 artifacts of the light attribute are incomparably compatible with her. If the master can give these 2 artifacts to himself, it is not impossible to really recognize him as the master. Keisha's beautiful eyes were smiling, and she couldn't help but leave that sacred sword of light in her hand for a moment. She felt like she was invincible now. Isn't it just an artifact? Suzy shook his head and gave Keisha a look of contempt. But Keisha didn't care, carefully rubbing the natural divine lines on sacred sword of light with his hands. This is for Bailingzi to use. As Suzy said, he handed the artifact purple electric crystal boots to Bai Lingxi. Thank you, master. Bai Lingxi took it respectfully and put it on immediately. One more thing. Keisha was dumbfounded again by 067. How many artifacts does the master have? After giving orders to them, Susie looked at the remaining people. God Willow, Catfish Tree, Parasitic Spore, your task is to restrain and divide them. Make them confused. Susie had expected that when the pea cannon fired, they will surely share the same hatred. But how could it be so easy? Yes, my lord, the three heroes responded. After the war ended, they received a huge promotion. Master, I want to join the battle. At this time, the little fairy suddenly said softly. I'm already at the 8th level, and I can give them various boosts. Wen Yan. Susie nodded and agreed. This battle will inevitably last for a long time, and the recovery ability of the little goblin will play a very important role. The little fairy smiled. She can help too. My lord, there is still style. Chi-Chi jumped up, raised her hand and said. The rest of us are in the territory, wantonly bombing the entire battlefield. Susie stroked her head with a smile and said. The Sun Elves are responsible for making up the knife. Susie instructed Xiao Wanqing. Understood, son. Xiao Wanqing nodded, and at the same time her eyes were full of fighting intent. This time, the Sun Elves can finally fight for the territory. Let's prepare for each other. We will give them a big surprise. Report. 35%. Chapter 141. Excited Tianzhao of all races, tragic Tianzhao. The event is open, please get ready, the transfer will start soon. When the time limit of 3 hours comes, in the world battlefield, countless registered participants are excited. With the speed of my Gale Wolf clan, after arriving, I immediately grabbed a treasure chest and ran away, no one can stop it. With so many people participating, the more powerful the better, the real winner is whoever can persevere until the end. There are more than 30 million races in the universe, enough for me to let go of all killings. Finally waited until the last day, all the killing spots have been gathered, no need to run around here and there, this time, I will definitely have a place in the top 10. The world battlefield is coming to an end, and this will be an unprecedented battle. How could such a thrilling battle be without the participation of my demon ape clan? Human lord, if you dare to kill my titans, I want you to pay the price. Countless alien geniuses, their hearts are raging with war and ambitions. Come to participate in the battle of Xiaoju Tianzhao. Itself is to compete with other clans' arrogance and powerhouses. But also for this rare opportunity. 2 days passed. I don't know how many racial prides. By killing. Get unprecedented fortune, of which the harvest. It is they who, among the nations of the world, never get it. Among them, the legendary equipment. It is the treasure they dream of. How could they not be thrilled? Don't say 10. You can get one of the legendary treasure chests. Their destiny in this life will be changed. Send it. Next moment, a reminder appeared in front of countless alien arrogances. Yes, backquote. For a while, world battlefield, numerous large or small beams of light descended, enveloping and teleporting them. The center of the world battlefield. Numerous beams of light descend from the sky. Densely packed, like raindrops. For a moment, there have already been countless alien talents sent over. Coming, over 9 days. In all descendants, be careful when guarding against other alien races around. Susie stood on the steel city wall, whispering to himself. Emission. A deep voice came from Susie's mouth. Do. The pea cannon can't be excited by itself. Pea cannon, born for war itself. They are the most ruthless executioners on the battlefield. Get Susie's order. 2,000 pea cannons, huge cannon. Aimed at the Tianzhao who just arrived one by one below. Incomparably huge energy, spinning and condensing in the muzzle. Finally, they converged into an energy ball emitting scarlet light. Emission. Susie gave the order calmly. Next moment, the moment countless scarlet shells popped out of the muzzle. Transformed into a huge scarlet pillar. The moment it descends to the surface. Covering countless alien arrogances. Boom. 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 For a moment, within a radius of 100,000 miles of the golden pillar of light. There were countless rumbling bombing sounds and wailing sounds. Countless alien races who have just arrived, have not even stood firm on their feet. It has been swept by the sudden energy and turned into dust and smoke. Countless ambitions, disappeared in an instant. Ah, how could this be? I have just descended, why would there be an attack? There is a foreign arrogance, his face is covered with blood, and he is very angry. Someone is killing us. Where is he? Find out. There are aliens who use the treasures given by the clan to protect themselves and look for enemies everywhere. Don't let me find out who did it, or you will be crushed. There is a foreign arrogance, roaring unwillingly, and then quickly replaced with another defensive item. Even with protective shields, but the temperature as high as thousands of degrees still made him feel unbearable. Suppressing the burning, he frantically escaped outside the range of the explosion. But this is just the beginning. Steel walls. The little goblin's red clothes fluttered, and a strange light radiated from her hands, flowing into each of the P cannons. Originally, it would take a while, the restored P cannon. It's like being blessed with frozen aid. Fiery muzzle. Rapid cooling. Energy expended, quickly recovered. Next moment, countless scarlet pillars were sent out from the muzzle again. In the battlefield, Tianzhao, who had just been resurrected, hadn't had time to run away. It was penetrated by the scarlet pillar that came again. Turned into fly ash again. Quote. Is this place really for us to snatch the treasure? Why do I think this is a trap? Ah, who the hell is attacking? I'm not reconciled, I only have one resurrection item left. Wang Chenjiao ran out of its attack range, rushed out to survive. Countless strong men who survived the attack roared. Damn it, who the hell is fooling me? If someone else finds out, I will kill you. Under the powerful artillery fire of the endless scarlet pillar, He Wushwang hid in the territory, cursing secretly. A light curtain flowing with a faint blue light protects the entire territory. The outside is full of destruction, and the fiery energy is blocked by one of them. But in fact, He Wushwang at this time, my heart is dripping with blood. This kind of energy shield, the stronger the attack it receives, the more energy it consumes. And the continuous explosion outside the field. He could only keep throwing source crystals on the energy shield. Otherwise, his territory might even be destroyed in an instant. Report. 35%. Chapter 142. Discovered, meeting ceremony. More than 30 million Tianzhao. Too many people. Countless alien races were sent to various parts of the golden beam of light. Far and near, and Su Zi's first shelling. It is concentrated around the golden beam of light. Around the beam of light. Cannonball cleaning over and over again. Create a blank area of tens of thousands of kilometers. Tianzhao, who was within the attack range, and the beaten mouse. And the aliens far outside the attack range. They all stared dumbfounded at the restricted area created by the countless scarlet pillars. And the very few Tianzhao who escaped from the artillery fire. They swallowed and spit. Rejoice in my heart. There is no distance for him to be teleported, and the golden beam of light is too close. When the light of scarlet pillar dissipates, no beam of light will fall from the 9 heavens. The entire battlefield, tens of millions of people. But strangely silent, the golden light beam exudes brilliant golden light. Like a peerless beauty full of temptation. Lure 877 them. But the land around it was sunk several feet deep. But it made every Tianzhao's heart tremble. Stay away. FK. Finally stopped. Don't play like this. He Wushwang cursed and closed the energy shield. Fly to the sky, trying to find unknown enemies. But when he saw that within tens of thousands of kilometers, he was the only one who had a complete territory. Immediately, the body became alert. FK, isn't her mother too scary? Tens of thousands of kilometers of pitch-black scorched earth, the entire ground has been cut several feet deep. Farther away, countless Tianzhao surround the scorched earth. Looking at the golden pillar of light. And hesitant. Fear of being attacked again. Damn it, run away. He Wushwang made a decisive decision, and a teleportation scroll appeared in his hand. Hands torn, the whole territory disappeared in an instant. Then appeared hundreds of thousands of miles away. It's finally safer here. BGBC. He Wushwang patted his trembling heart, feeling something was wrong. Someone is plotting against him. Is murdering everyone. He would not think that this is the rule of the world battlefield. After all, the purpose of world warfare is to encourage them to kill each other. Rather than massacre them. But he had to sigh. The opponent's courage is really great. How dare you do this? Are you not afraid of being attacked? Tens of millions of pride of all races. God came. I'm afraid I also need to be a little scruples. Many Tianzhao understand this point. Their eyes scan the world, hoping to find the enemy who attacked them. To greet him, will be their most terrifying rage. Over 9 days, in the virtual, natural collar. Su Zi calmly looked down at the countless arrogances who didn't dare to step over the thunder pool. Virtualization features can hide the endless deep void. Su Zi wants others to discover, and only others can discover. Otherwise it will never be found. Horrible. Keisha stared dumbfounded at the scorched land below. Last time, she only had a small experience of the strength of Su Zi's arms. But this time I stood in the perspective of a bystander. Looking at the cannonballs that looked like gods of death, they bombarded the blood-red beams of light. Only then did she truly perceive the horror of Su Zi. She turned her head, glanced at Su Zi. Feel alive. It is really his kindness. A fear of Su Zi actually rose in his heart. All dissatisfaction in the blink of an eye. The smoke cleared. Even though she is the most delicate little princess. But when dead, she is but a corpse. In front of Suzy. She will only be its subsidiary in the future. Wrong. Angels worship the strong, and Suzy is undoubtedly one of the monsters. Even become his vassal, chances are she has a brighter future ahead. Keisha's psychology is subtly changing. That lord is quite strong. Suzy looked at the Xuanwu leader who had traveled hundreds of thousands of miles away. Under such intense artillery fire. Hardly a trace of damage. Undoubtedly the top talent. It's time to do it. Suzy looked at the pea cannons and goblins who had gradually recovered beside him. Next moment, the figure of the territory appeared in the sky. There, the moment the territory appeared, immediately, a foreign race discovered the figure of natural caller. For a moment, countless aliens looked up at the huge continent in the sky. How can there be a big Lu Fei in the sky? Have alien doubts. No, that's not the mainland, it's the territory of the human lord. As soon as he said it, there were rebuttals from other races. FK, is the territory of the human race so big? Which human race's arrogance is this? Do you still need to ask? Besides the human plant Suzy, who else can have such a large territory? He was sneaking up on us just now. Suzy, I can't stop talking to you. Kill my people, even if you are the top talent of the human race, we are not afraid. That's right, kill him. Make him pay for his actions. After discovering that it was the territory of the human race. For a while, the heroes were furious. Damn it, Suzy. Are you playing tricks on me? In the distant Xuanwu caller. After he Wushwang found the territory, he immediately stood up from the territory in shock. Worry, you are so f-king ruthless. If I hadn't reacted quickly, the core of my territory would have been almost hit. He Wushwang did not expect. My first meeting with Suzy. Suzy gave himself such a big, meeting gift. Report. 36%. Chapter 143. Inciting public outrage, unscathed territory. However, you have caused public outrage, I want to see how you respond. He Wushwang looked at those who soared into the sky one by one. The arrogance of all races who want to kill him as soon as possible. Smile lightly, facing tens of millions of alien races. Even he can only escape for his life. What will Suzy do? Natural caller. The densely packed arrogance of various races will completely encircle the natural territory. Human Suzy, let's see how you escape. A Tianjiao with a wolf head, his eyes are fierce and authentic. Don't be caught by me, otherwise, I will definitely torture you. Destroy his territory and make him regret it. Tianjiao, who had just escaped from the artillery fire one by one, was extremely angry. Suzy stood on the steel city wall and hooked his tail towards them. FK, he still dares to provoke us. Brothers of all ethnic groups, break his territory. A foreigner couldn't help roaring. Too arrogant. To ignore them at all. Lord, Master, what shall we do? Keisha looked at the densely packed alien arrogance around her, and asked Suzy worriedly. Sister, don't worry, their attacks can't break through the defense of the territory. The goblin chuckled lightly and said to Kesha. Suzy nodded, but did not explain. At the beginning, even the upper gods were unable to touch the territory when the territory was blurred. Not to mention these so-called heavenly talents. Seeing Suzy didn't defend at all. Many alien races outside were surprised. Don't understand what Suzy's confidence is. But they're not going to stop. Countless aliens have started their hands. In a blink, the sky is illuminated with colorful colors. All kinds of tyrannical attacks were mercilessly fired. Natural caller. Boom. Countless tyrannical energies hit Makan, where nature is. The space is beaten and shakes. Intense energy in an instant. Submerge the natural caller. Kesha in the realm. Subconsciously inspired the god-level armor. But the next moment, she was surprised to find those tyrannical attacks actually shuttled through the territory. Not the slightest fall in the territory. Keisha was a little dumbfounded. How is this going? She is clearly standing here. But the energy explosions of the countless attacks colliding could not cause silk lingering damage to her. She subconsciously looked at Suzy, but found his face calm. Obviously, he already knew. Keisha showed shock. She didn't understand how Suzy did it, and how long she could last. But with this hand alone, Suzy is invincible. What a terrible human race. Kesha murmured to herself. She never seems to guess how many cards Suzy has. 3 artifacts. Territory that cannot be attacked. But these are not the most important. The most important thing is its strength. She will never forget, when caught by Suzy, Feel the vast power from it. Mystery. Powerful. How many secrets does he have? Keisha's master, to herself. Getting more and more curious. Should he be dead? When countless dazzling attacks gradually dissipate. All the aliens not only asked in their hearts. Faced with millions of alien attacks. It is any one of them, can't survive. Then the human lord. How could it survive? I'm afraid it will be blasted into slag right away. All aliens think so. Is this the end? He Wushwang frowned, a little in disbelief. Ask for flowers. The moment when courage comes. Then he attacked and killed Suzy, who was proud of all races. Is it just gone? Won't. He Wushwang didn't think Suzy would be so simple. Can be accepted as a disciple by that terrifying old hag. How can it be simple? When all the light dissipated, the sky fell to the ground. Natural color when it appears in front of everyone intact. Countless aliens were in an uproar, staring at the intact Suzy and his territory with wide eyes. FK, what's going on? Why didn't he get hurt at all? How is it possible? How is it possible that he is still alive? I don't believe that under such a powerful attack, even a god can be maimed. Is he a monster? I have an ominous feeling. Run away. For a moment, all the aliens felt like they had come to be something they shouldn't mess with. Even wise aliens are already fleeing. FK, he's still there. He Wushwang's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. He originally thought that Suzy would, at the moment of the attack, use props to escape, but never expected, Suzy actually stayed where he was. So, how did he survive under millions of attacks? He Wushwang was full of doubts. I feel that Suzy is really not that simple. He definitely has a big secret. There is an old saying in the human race, it is indecent to come and not to go. Suzy's voice is not loud, but clearly passed in the ears of every alien present. Wen Yan, the complexions of the many alien races changed, and their hearts moved. Now that you're done attacking, it's my turn. Suzy said. 2000 P cannons, their eyes are already red. The majestic energy gathered again. Emission. Suzy gave orders without hesitation. Report. 36%. Chapter 144. He Wushwang's thoughts, the light pillar collapses, and the hero plays. Run. He can still launch that terrifying attack. How is it possible? Run. I regret it. I shouldn't have come to Xiaojudian. How is it possible? Don't go, everyone, he is probably bluffing. That's where the idiot is. Just looking at that weird cannon scares me. For a moment, countless alien races who came to besiege natural territory scattered in all directions. But Suzy can only use cannon fire. Let them understand. Use his own way to treat his own body. Endless fire. In a fraction of a second, it poured out. Each shot of the 9th level destroyer bullet. They all aimed at a foreigner. Boom, 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 almost in the blink of an eye. Countless alien races were blasted away. The body was exploded, and flesh and blood flew everywhere. There are also powerful alien races. In a short moment. Use life-saving props. Dodged a catastrophe, but apparently, not all alien races have life-saving objects. Large numbers of alien races were blasted into pieces by shells. What? Intense screams can be heard endlessly in the air of the battlefield. All the alien races who did not attack Suzy's territory were thankful. If they make a move, I'm afraid they are the ones who are dead now. Damn it, ruthless man. I finally know why his killing point has increased so fast. He Wushwang stared at that with wide eyes. Cannonballs like celestial maidens scattered flowers. This is simply a sharp weapon on the battlefield. Is this really a plant? He Wushwang couldn't help thinking. According to the information, Suzy is just a plant. But alien lords. But where is this different? Many people don't know, but today he seems to understand. These plant arms. It is completely the most terrifying killing weapon on the battlefield. 1 soldier makes an army, 10 soldiers make a sea, 10 soldiers dominate. Suzy with such a type of arms. Almost no one can kill faster than him on the battlefield. This world battlefield, this activity, seems like it was made for him. It became his one-man show. It made him think. Do you want to compete for the 10 legendary treasure chests? No doubt, Suzy should be determined to win those 10 treasure chests. He is not afraid of Suzy, afraid to compete with him. After all, his legendary hero is Xuanwu. He is confident that he can resist such devastating attack. But just for the 10 legendary chests. To offend such a terrifying evildoer. Is this deal worth it? This is where he needs to think. Look again, I don't know how strong his hero is. If he is still strong, then he is qualified to join our circle. He Wushwang was deep in thought, with deep eyes. I don't know what I'm thinking about. When the flames in the muzzle of the pea cannon ceased, throughout the battlefield of all races, millions of aliens were missing again. But compared to the total number of people participating in the war, up to 35 million people, this is only a few tenths. Around the battlefield, still densely packed with alien races, all of them had cold eyes. Even Suzy went on a killing spree. But still can't make them afraid. Tianzhao who came here. They were all killed from the clan. At this time, Suzy was far from being able to make them fearful. Suzy naturally also understands those who can die under the normal attack of the pea cannon. It's just some miscellaneous fish, millet and shrimp. But Suzy doesn't care whether he is a big fish or a small fish. He took all the bills. Snapped. At this time, the beam of light in the center of the world battlefield suddenly dissipated. 10 legendary chests, one by one bloomed with dazzling golden light, beautiful and dazzling. Legendary treasure chest beam of light has been opened. Grab. Whoever dares to stop me, I will kill him. I don't have many other things, but I have a lot of resurrection props. For the legendary treasure box, I will die a few times. It's worth it. Suzy alone, can he stop us with thousands of troops? Kill. For the legendary treasure chest, I am the only one not afraid. In the guardian beam of the legendary treasure chest, the moment it exploded, the eyes of all the aliens were red, and they greedily stared at that treasure chest. Some strong aliens who have been waiting for the legendary treasure chest 853 to open. Without hesitation, he flew towards the treasure chest. At the same time, several layers of defensive props were added to his body, in order to prevent Su Luo's sudden attack. When someone strikes the lead, the other races, who were already hot in their hearts, could no longer hold back the greed in their hearts. Go madly to the center of the world. My lord, with me here, I won't let any aliens approach the treasure chest. Master, I will show you my true strength. Master, Bailingzi obeys your will. In front of Suzy, Xiaoju is ready to go. Keisha is wearing a divine armor and holding a holy sword. She is extremely confident. Bai Lingxi stepped on a pair of artifacts. His eyes were burning. Go. Suzy nodded. Next moment, one hero, two subordinates. Leaping down from the ground. Go straight to the center of the world. Go, too, and hunt to your heart's content. Behind Suzy. The remaining 3 heroes are eager to try. Get Suzy's order. Yes, lead the balance. The 3 responded to Suzy, then soared into the sky. Report. 36%. Chapter 145. Crazy killing, rivers of blood, Morido appears. The center of the world battlefield. The 10 treasure chests are shining with dazzling golden light. Around the battlefield, densely packed with aliens. Rushing like locusts to the treasure chest. All the alien races are full of greed and resort to various means, turning into streamers and rushing towards the treasure chest. Die to me. There is a backward blood clan genius, with a sharp edge bursting out of his cold eyes. A pitch-black spear was condensed in his hand, and he stabbed fiercely at the neck of the Shadow Clan Tianzhao who was in front of him. The Shadow Clan Tianzhao didn't notice for a while. The bloody black spear pierced the back of his head, and as soon as it passed through, his brains splashed out. Brush. With a wave of the Blood Clan Tianzhao's spear, the Shadow Clan's corpse was thrown aside. It went straight over him. And this sudden attack seemed to have opened up the demons in everyone's hearts. Laggards. He mercilessly attacked and killed the people in front of him. While the people in front, not only to guard against attacks from people behind you, also try to kill the ones ahead. Kill. Boom. Die. For a moment, the whole battlefield seems to be a mess. There are fights everywhere. Tens of millions of strong men fought wantonly on the battlefield with red eyes. Just for a moment, the entire battlefield was dyed bloody. There are people fighting and killing in the sky, on the ground, and even underground. The remains of severed limbs, bloody swords of remnants of soldiers. The entire battlefield in an instant turned into hell on earth. Finally, there is a powerful Tianzhao of the Yan clan, covered in strange fire, holding a huge shield, rushing to the treasure chest. Mine. The giant hand turned from flames opened, and it was about to grab one of the treasure boxes. A smile appeared on the face of Yan clan Tianzhao. He will be the first among tens of millions of people to get the legendary treasure box. However, at this time, whoosh. A sharp sword light suddenly hit, extremely fast, like lightning. Before he could react, it has already chopped at his outstretched arm. Plop. The arm covered with red flames was cut off directly from it. What? Yan clan Tianzhao's eyes were cracked, and he suddenly raised his head. But found a plant with 9 leaves, standing in the void, slowly withdrawing the slender green sword leaves. Put it down, that's not someone you can touch. Nine-leaf sword grass icy voice came. Yan Clan Tianzhao's pupils constricted, a little dazed. Even if he searched for all races in 10,000 realms. Also heard only in legends. The tree of life that gave birth to the elves gave birth to wisdom. What race is this? But from the 9 blades that were like sharp swords, he felt unprecedented pressure. It seems that if it moves a little, it will be cut into meat paste. Gudong. On the forehead of Tianzhao of the Yan clan, cold sweat broke out, but it was evaporated as soon as he appeared. I quit. Tianzhao of the Yan clan smiled obsequiously, and as he spoke, he turned around, as if about to leave. But the moment he turned around, in his left hand is a giant shield of precious light. Carrying the momentum of thousands of miles, it slammed into the 9-leaf sword grass. I don't care what race you are, anyone who stops me will be killed. The face of Yan clan Tianzhao suddenly became ferocious. When swinging the mountain shield, the body suddenly rushed to the treasure chest. Those who spy on the Lord's treasure, be destroyed. 9-leaf sword grass didn't move in the slightest when faced with the huge shield being swung at it. The sword leaf just taken back, played a beautiful sword flower, the king's giant shield. Boom! The giant shield shining with precious light was cut in half in an instant. How is this possible? Tianzhao of the Yan clan heard the sound, took a look. His expression was shocked, and his face was full of disbelief. The shield of the semi-divine weapon was cut into 2 halves without even the slightest resistance. What a sharp sword leaf this is! But the 9-leaf sword grass did not answer him. Another blade exploded. Countless bright sword chi tearing apart the space formed a storm of sword chi, covering the Tianzhao of the Yan clan. Instantly turned into flesh, 9-leaf sword grass showed no mercy, facing the many alien races who had already rushed under the treasure chest. 9 leaves moved together. In an instant, a storm composed of sword energy swept across thousands of alien races. But the alien races who have already been killed red-eyed, regardless of it, frantically moving forward to fight. For master, you all go to die. By Linksie's 4 evil eyes. Chi burst into purple light. Emit a dazzling aurora. Scanned countless aliens. Those who are swept away will be severely wounded, and even die instantly. Boom, boom. The bloody earth was directly cut by the aurora, and a deep pit several feet deep was cut. Artifact, let me show you your strength. Keisha stood in the air, raised her sacred sword of light with her shining eyes. Behind him, 2 snow-white wings fluttered up and down. Countless bright energies turned into streamers and merged into the holy sword. A bright light burst out, shining on the mountains, rivers and the earth. Cut! Keisha shouted loudly, and suddenly swung the holy sword down. There are no skills, let alone skills. It is such a simple and unpretentious sword. But like opening up the world, the space is torn apart, the earth is severed. The entire continent seemed to be split into 2 halves, with a gap of tens of feet wide and bottomless darkness in the middle. The majestic sword light directly tore through the territory of thousands of miles. Countless aliens were strangled. Fierce. Keisha's face was ecstatic, shocked by the power of the artifact. Sacred weapon. How could there be a divine weapon? Foul. Who can beat an artifact? She is Keisha of the Angel clan, wasn't she killed? Why is she still alive? Quote. The other one is the Zerg Lark, she is alive too. Who is it? Why are they cooperating? And that sword grass, why haven't you heard of her famous minister? Human Lord Suzy, that is his hero, and those 2 have become his subordinates. When this conclusion was drawn, countless aliens were in an uproar, and they couldn't believe it. It's the Terran Lord Suzy again. How on earth did he do it? To be able to treat the seeds of the Zerg race and the princess of the Elf race as his subordinates. Even 2 of them possess artifacts. A full 3 artifacts. The eyes of the small and foreign races who come here are all red. Some of their clans don't even have a single artifact. But now it is used by other people's affiliates at will. Worry, you're F-King cheating. Bringing 3 artifacts to join the battle. Seeing this scene, He Wushwang was so shocked that his jaw almost fell to the ground. The last thought of wanting to participate in it was pinched down by him. Joke. Take the artifact as a weapon. It can be called invincible existence here. Artifact. In a corner of the battlefield. Morido, the blood demon clan, his blood-red eyes froze slightly. Did Zhao expect that Suzy would possess the artifact? His eyes scanned the entire battlefield, and found that Suzy had dispatched several heroes. Here's your chance. His eyes swept to the high sky. Suzy who walked out of the territory, endless murderous intent burst out in his eyes. Without the protection of heroes, the lord of the human race is a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. If you kill the lord first, his territory will definitely become available. Then break in again and destroy the core of his territory. Everything about him will be taken away by me. Morido was ecstatic, his sharp claws clenched tightly. Next moment, everywhere on the battlefield, tens of thousands of figures of Tianjiao of various races suddenly burst into a powerful momentum, at the same time soaring into the sky. Coming. Suzy noticed the tens of thousands of alien races flocking towards him, and smiled slightly. He doesn't come out. How could that Morido make a move? Idiot him. Keisha saw from the corner of her eye that tens of thousands of different figures on the battlefield suddenly fell towards Su. Then he knew that it was Morido who had been peeping secretly. But he will never know what kind of existence I will face. Report 36%. Chapter 146. Unparalleled strength, controlled Morido. The lord of a different kind of plants, the lord of the human race who claims to meet once in a million years, will be me from now on. Morido's fierce eyes. There was a hint of greed in the eyes looking at Suzy. The reason why he was born this time before he became a god, entered the Tianjiao exhibition. Biggest reason, it is because of the reward list issued by the Zerg. A lord of a different kind that the human race rarely meets in thousands of years. Such a good avatar. I missed this opportunity, and I don't know when I will meet it again. Once he successfully trains Suzy into an avatar, not only will he inherit everything from Suzy, but he will even be able to break into the top ranks of the human race. Obtain human information, contributing to the plan of the demon race. And he will therefore get endless benefits, and therefore, he told Suzy this time, determined to win, and at this time, there is no one guarding Suzy. This kind of God-given opportunity should not be missed. And his giant artillery units have also fallen into silence at this time. Besides himself, no more fighting power, in the face of tens of thousands of siege. 370 Morido has absolute confidence. Before his heroes and vassals reacted. Loot it. Future. They will be their subordinates. Looking up at Suzy, the corner of his mouth chuckled. Kill. Moment. Countless extremely tyrannical attacks were launched from the hands of tens of thousands of alien geniuses. Suzy's eyes were cold as he swept across the battlefield, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. I found you. Let's see how you run this time. His divine sense was constantly searching for Morido's figure on the huge battlefield. He is good at hiding. No one knows which one is his real body. But at the moment of just doing it, his feet were exposed. In the face of countless attacks, Suzy's eyes burst out with bright golden light. Stretching out his right hand, the surging energy all over his body exploded for the first time. For a while, the wind and clouds in the sky are changing, countless energies are condensing. Finally, it turned into a giant palm with a size of tens of thousands of meters. Covered the sky, covered the blood moon. Countless aliens noticed the abnormality, stopped attacking the surrounding people, and looked up at the giant palm of the day. Is this really something a human can do? I feel a little unsteady on my feet. The gods are nothing more than that. How can it be so powerful? Is this why the Zerg issued a bounty? It's scary. Gudong, why should we assign him to a world battlefield? Terrible. After I go out, I must warn all my fellow clansmen not to make enemies with him. An arrogance in the population, looking at the incomparably huge palm, was shocked in his heart. Is this his strength? It's scary. Keisha trembled slightly. Even if she was wearing the divine weapon armor, it couldn't give her a sense of security. She has a feeling. Even if she has two artifacts, she can't compare with Suzy. This is my master. A raging fire ignited in Bai Lingxi's 4 eyes. Seeing Suzy show his talents, she was trembling all over. If the occasion is not right, he already wants to kneel down and worship. What a terrifying strength. He Wushwang raised his head and looked at the giant palm holding the sky. His mind was blank. Also the Lord. Even he is the Lord of the legendary panel. Why the opponent's strength, but left him far behind. Disappear, Suzy murmured, and slapped down mercilessly with his giant palm. Like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. Tens of thousands of alien arrogance were wiped out by the giant palm. Everything dissipated in an instant. At the same time, Suzy's sight fell on a corner of the battlefield BIFC. He found me. At the moment when Suzy hit the giant palm, Morido. Just know that Suzy's strength is terrifying. But he thinks that what he hides is already very hidden. Will not be easily discovered. But now he can clearly feel that he has been locked. This made him truly feel the horror of Suzy. Morido. A majestic and indifferent voice came from behind. When he looked up, immediately, the hairs stood upside down in fright. I don't know when. Suzy had already appeared in front of his eyes, watching him coldly. Plop. Morido staggered and almost lay on the ground. Suzy. Morido gritted his teeth, barely supported his body, and said angrily. An incomparably majestic pressure suddenly pressed on his body. He feels his bones, almost crushed. The body can hardly move at all. Give me the blood demon incarnation Dafa. Suzy said lightly. He directly stated his purpose. Morido stared at him, then said with a half smile. It was Princess Keisha of the angel family who told you. HMPH, how is it possible to want a blood demon to become a Dafa? Morido is not afraid of Suzy killing him. The incarnations he brings today are but a small part of his incarnations. On the battlefields of the world, among the races of the outer universe, almost all his incarnations exist. Even he learned the lessons of his predecessors. In order to prevent the highest person from taking action, he even sent millions of incarnations to the forbidden area of the universe C. So, even if caught by Suzy, he also has no fear. Seeing this, Suzy didn't say much. He used Divine Willow's purification again. All over, full of divine light. No, do not want. Morido shook his head frantically. Suddenly feel him in my eyes. He started to become kind and friendly. He even had a subconscious desire to obey his orders. It made him feel terrible. At the same time, everywhere in the universe, countless figures were also shaking their heads crazily and shouting. But as the light on Suzy became more and more sacred, Morido's resistance became weaker and weaker. Eventually disappears completely. Suzy let go of his control over Morido. Owner. Morido knelt down on his knees and kowtowed to Suzy. Suzy nodded. At the same time, let Morido on the subsidiary contract. Sign your name. The power of faith. Not so strong after all. Only this contract. It is the most terrible confinement. Next moment, Suzy directly took Morido back to the territory. Waiting for the final news. Report. 37%. 147th. The end of the battle, a total bath. This battle for the legendary treasure lasted for 10 hours. When all the alien races wake up from the killing red eyes, all that is left is endless fear and terror. Around the legendary treasure chest, a mountain of flesh and blood is enough to become the last witness of this battle. 35 million participants. In the end, the shortfall to be able to stand here, 5 million. No racial genius is intact. All the aliens stared in fear at the figures guarding the four sides of the legendary treasure chest. WWW. The East is the nine-leaf sword grass, but they prefer to call her Sword Demon. Sword Demon is the nickname they gave to Jiansao. Guarding a quarter of the face alone. 10 hours. No one can step across from the East. Really do. One grass can stop a million masters. Its sword intent is terrifying, as if it wants to cut off the sun, moon and sky. The most frightening thing is that Chiyu loves to tear enemies into pieces. At its feet, no enemy is complete. Therefore, it was dubbed the title of Demon, only because it was more demonic than the demons. Guarded in the west, it was the two girls who possessed the artifact. The blood-stained angel and the lark, the seed of the upper god. Two girls. A woman is not a man. One holds a divine sword and wears a divine armor. The head of the killed enemy rolls away. Its pair of snow-white wings had already turned blood red at this time. It's like becoming a demonic fallen angel. Next to it is the four-eyed lark. This Zerg girl really showed its terrifying side. Stepping on god boots, wandering among the alien races. Like the ghost of death. Wherever it went, must be accompanied by death. Even without an army of tens of millions of Zerg, the strength is still terrifyingly strong. Guarded in the south, is what they think is weirdest. The willow tree that radiates holy light. But whoever is illuminated by its light will become the other party's believer in a very short time. Kneel down and worship it. It was unspeakably weird, and it made people tremble all over. At the northernmost point are two existences that make them hate to the bone. A pistachio tree. Countless alien races were sucked clean by him, making thousands of households. A tiny parasitic spore quietly control the arrogance of all races, so that they don't even know who is the companion, who is the enemy, and standing among them is a beautiful goddess. But she made them both love and hate. Its extremely beautiful appearance made them tremble in their hearts, and they couldn't help wanting to protect it. But she let them keep assisting. But it made them grit their teeth in hatred. Countless alien races want to slaughter them quickly. But it was well protected. 10 hours of killing, leaving them almost exhausted. But those few can persist until now. When it is finally determined that their protection cannot be broken, they also no longer persist, running around one by one. Natural caller. Suzy saw this scene. I don't care anymore. Today he has gained enough. Steel walls. Master, we brought the treasure chest back. The moment the little fairy saw Suzy, her beautiful eyes flickered. He was about to step forward and hug Suzy. But just walking up to Suzy. But I remember the bloody smell all over my body. He paused in his footsteps. Master, I'm going to take a few sisters to take a bath first. The little goblin raised an eyebrow at Suzy and smiled, then turned around and ran towards watching pool. Don't worry, I'll take you with me later. Suzy chuckled, and took the goblin's soft hand. Took her in his arms. Suddenly, a bloody smell hits the nose. ... Seeking flowers 0. But Suzy didn't stir it up in the slightest. Everyone has worked hard, go and rest, I will do the rest. Suzy said to the crowd. The battle lasted for more than 10 hours. Even they are already tired. Thank you Lord. Xiaoju and the others agreed to Suzy, then put down the legendary treasure box they were holding, and then went to rest. But Suzy found that Xiaoju didn't intend to rest, but continued to practice sword under the world tree. Seeing that Suzy shook his head. Too hard-working. Wanner, let the Sun Elves go down to rest too, they have worked hard. Suzy looked at Xiao Wanqing. 0. Today, these Sun Elves are also continuously shooting and killing on the battlefield. For others, lighten the burden. Xiao Wanqing nodded and bowed slightly. Thank you, young master. Some enviously glanced at the little goblin. Only then did he leave slowly. The status of the goblin sister in the sun's heart. Sure enough, it is not comparable to others. Master, I want to take a bath too. The angel Keisha sniffed the bloody smell on her body, suddenly showed bitterness, and said coquettishly to Suzy. As angels, they like cleanliness above all. But today, she almost turned into a fallen angel. Master, let me wipe your back for you. Bai Lingxi jumped out, stared at him hotly, and said. Chi-Chi, someone steal my life. How can this work? My lord, let me do it. I know this job well. Chi-Chi ran up to Suzy, hugged Su Luo's other hand and said. Stop arguing, let's go together. Suzy said helplessly. Keisha showed a shy face, and glanced at Su Luo. Nor refused. She is already Suzy's person. These are just things that will happen sooner or later, and she has already expected them in her heart. And Suzy is very handsome, which fits the aesthetics of the angel family. Plus he is so powerful. If it was an ordinary female angel, I'm afraid she would have fallen into 3 long ago. Report. 37%. Chapter 148. Huge harvest, Crane Wushwang with broken mouth. This time a shared bath. Suzy did nothing. Several of them continued to fight with high intensity. After washing the ground in watching pool and recovering the spirit, soon fell asleep. At last, Suzy personally carried them back to the room one by one. Also at this time, Suzy only had time to sum up what he had learned this time. Obviously, this harvest, big enough to be awe-inspiring. From the beginning of the battle to the end, the sound of killing reminders in Suzy's ears never stopped. The total number of people killed this time is as high as 23 million, which is the most killed in history. At the same time, it is also the most rewarding time. Suzy quickly calculated the harvest, 180, in his heart. As a result, counting, he himself was surprised. In the end, there were only about 5 million alien races left, and 7 million were killed by themselves. My killing point, I don't know how much it has reached now. Suzy has some expectations. This opens the leaderboard. No. 1. Terran Suzy, 1.5 billion points, location expandable. Second place. Terran He Wushwang, 50 million points, position expandable. Third place. Chiyoko of the Lingzhu, 37.7 million points, location expandable. The killing points went directly from 190 million to 1.5 billion. A full increase of 1.31 billion killing points. If someone can surpass me, then I will be helpless. Suzy thinks of the ranking of killing points after going out, and will accumulate them. If this time is not enough, then I have to kill more next time. If you solve him, you can get another 50 million points. Suzy looked at the second place, He Wushwang. While my heroes and subordinates are fighting in the front, this guy is looking for singles in the back and defeating them one by one. He also gained a lot of killing points. And, his territory is not far away. Suzy thought about it. Put it aside for now. The guy didn't leave after it was over. It seems that he wants to talk to himself. As for the source crystal and the source point, it is the biggest gain this time. Suzy opened the prompt interface. Congratulations, you have obtained a total of source crystals, 300 million and source points, 80 million points in this battle. 300 million source crystals and 80 million source points are enough for me to complete all the resources for the first few rounds. Suzy thought in his heart. As for how many revolutions can be reached, This Suzy doesn't know either. But although the territory is huge, although there are many source crystals and source points needed. But today, Suzy felt it too. The terrifying gap between other Tianzhao and himself. One step at a time, one step at a time. With such advantages, Suzy will naturally grasp it, even if more source crystals and source points are needed. He also got it back for him. Moreover, there are still treasure chests that have not been collected. Once opened, there will be countless source crystals and source points. Suzy chuckled lightly, feeling very happy. Moreover, the demon tree, the parasitic spores, and even the goblins and sun elves have taken this opportunity to reach the 9th level. The next step is to go all out to become a god. At all costs. Suzy's heart filled with endless ambitions. Even if it is just a lower god, they all have a lifespan that is almost eternal. God's domain will not collapse. Gods don't die. After some lords became gods, they never entered the cosmic sea to explore again. But stay in the blue star. Create a family of gods. Just like the 4 big families in Qinghai City. Each family, all have a lower god. In Qinghai province with a population of over 100 million. They are the true uncrowned emperors. But they are only the lowest gods. On top of it there are the middle gods. Even in a large territory, it is a dominant existence. Certainly, no matter how strong they are, it is also inferior to the upper god lord who established a territory. Just like his master Wu Qingying, true lord of the land. All orders and rules in the territory can be followed by one. In a word, it can decide the life and death of hundreds of millions of people. Not to mention that there are god kings, god emperors, and Gao on it. Only the more you see, only then can we know our own insignificance. But my future is more than that. Suzy chuckled, full of confidence. Gods, it's just the beginning. Well thought out. Suzy laughed loudly and flew towards the steel city wall. 2 hours passed. The treasure chests on the battlefield have almost been condensed. 10 legendary treasure chests or 10 pieces of legendary equipment. I don't know what will be opened. Suzy faintly expects. After all, these are 10 legendary equipment. The future can be easily evolve into an artifact. Don't. I really know your lord. How could I lie to you? I really don't want to steal the treasure chest. My brother's stuff. How could I steal it? I just want to help your lord pick up something. I really have no other ideas. Not yet arrived. Suzy heard a loud noise coming from outside 1.3. Looks a little weird. Next moment, he appeared on the steel wall. Young master, this man actually wants to steal our treasure chest. Seeing Suzy coming, Xiao Wanqing pointed to humanity outside who was squatting on the ground with her head in her hands. Suzy, I didn't intend to steal the treasure chest. It was all a misunderstanding. Really, I just saw that brother you don't have time to clean it up, so help you clean it up. When he Wushwang saw Suzy coming, he immediately winked and said, Suzy, can you keep these giant cannons of yours from aiming at me? It looks quite intrusive. I'm a leader of Xuanwu. My mother and your master have a good relationship. You can't do anything. The corner of Suzy's mouth twitched. This man's mouth is so broken. Report. 37%. Chapter 149. Invitation. Report to the regiment for warmth. Tokens of the top 10 arms. Suzy waved his hand. Beep beep. The pea cannons moved away and aimed at He Wushwang's muzzle. Phew, I was scared to death. 11. He Wushwang breathed a sigh of relief, put down his raised hands. Pat on the chest. A look of being terrified. The corner of Suzy's mouth twitched again. This stuff can really act. Obviously there is no trace of fear in my heart. You came to see me? Suzy asked directly. That's right. See, Suzy is not joking. He Wushwang also stopped performing, and patted on a body of gold-plated and luxurious costumes. Flying into the air, Su Ping looked at each other. Let me introduce myself. I am the son of the Lord of Xuanwu, He Wushwang. The arms and heroes are all legendary, 9th-tier lords. The arms panel is Xuanwu, one of the 4 holy beasts. He Wushwang revealed his origin and strength. The purpose is to show he has the same qualifications as Suzy. Vermilion bird collar. Suzy, Department of Plants. Suzy nodded slightly and didn't say much. The 4 top territories in the eastern region. Green dragon collar, white tiger collar, vermilion bird collar, Xuanwu collar. The other 3 are ancient territories that have existed for tens of thousands of years. Only the vermilion bird collar, established for less than 2,000 years. Among the hundreds of territories in the entire eastern region, they are the youngest. But because of Wu Qingying, however, it was listed as one of the 18 top 4 territories. Just because of Wu Qingying. It is a high god who is about to become a god king. The strength is tyrannical, the talent is evil, and the overbearing is unparalleled. Even compared with a group of old lords, it is not too much. And this crane is unparalleled. It turned out to be the son of the Lord of Xuanwu. This status is very high. If before, Su Zi may not see him. But now, Su Zi, as Wu Qingying's only disciple. The identity is enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with it. Even a little over. After all, he is not the only heir of the Lord of the Xuanwu territory. But Su Zi showed doubts on his face. The Lord of the Xuanwu territory has become the upper god so far. I don't know how many thousands of years. Why is his son so young? Ahem, you read that right, I'm only 18. Seemingly aware of Su Zi's doubts, he Wushwang coughed lightly and explained. Higher gods, some god kings have no hope of becoming kings, and they just save children in the territory when they are idle and bored. However, my father's heirs are no more than the number of hands, and I am the youngest among them. Crane Wushwang laughed. I don't feel anything at all. The Lord of the White Tiger Collar is only powerful, but he has more than 100,000 wives. His sons have numbered in the millions over countless years. So my father is a role model for men. Oh, by the way, his youngest son, Lin Feng, is also in the same class as us, and it seems that he also participated in the Xiaoju Tianjiao competition. He Wushwang patted his head, seeming to remember what he said to Su Zi. The leader of the White Tiger League. Su Zi thought for a while and asked. Have you seen it? Hear the words, comma. He Wushwang glanced at Su Zi twice, and then showed a suddenly realized expression. Right, that old guy must have let him trouble you. That old man back then wanted your master, His Majesty Wu Qingying, to marry him. Is there such a thing? Su Zi's face turned cold, he remembered it in his heart, and then he resumed speaking. Of course, your master was only a mid-level god at that time, but he was invincible all over the world, and his strength surpassed that of a generation. Speaking of Wu Qingying, Ji Wushwang had a trace of admiration on his face. These stories were told by his father. It's amazing. Su Zi chuckled. If she is not strong, she is not qualified to be his master. Then his apprentice. In any case, the blue should be better than the blue. It is rumored that His Majesty Wu Qingying, but the number one beauty in the entire human race, and even the number one goddess of war. From the eastern region to the western region, and then from the southern region to the northern region. In the end, Tianjiao of the eastern territory was strongly suppressed. The oppressive generation of arrogance can't hold up its head. Quote. Of course she won't agree. Seeing that Su Zi was interested, he Wushwang continued to preach. And later, your master publicly fought to the death with his children and killed thousands of people. After that, they cursed him for 3 days and 3 nights on the human race public network. It can be said that the White Tiger has lost all face as the Lord. Quote. Speaking of this, he Wushwang sighed at the right time. Su Zi also smiled. No wonder the master, before he came in. Let yourself take good care of the White Tiger leader. After going out, killed the White Tiger League. Master should be happy, but you don't give up too much. He Wushwang glanced at Su Zi. Her master was an embryo killer back then. I didn't expect to collect land. Another embryo killer. And the talent is so monstrous. If 2 people were born in the same era, I really don't know who is stronger. In the end, Lord White Tiger shamelessly acted personally, and it was my mother who saved your master. He Wushwang said. Tell Su Zi the reason, hoping to draw in the relationship. Lord of the White Tiger Lord. Su Zi silently said twice. Keep it in your heart. At the same time, the White Tiger leader was sentenced to death. If you encounter it later, you will kill it. But because Master Su Zi has a little affection for He Wushwang. Su Zi, I'm here to extend an invitation to you. At this time, He Wu stared at Su Exidao. Su Zi, what invitation? When the Xiaoju Tianjiao battle is over, you will definitely enter the Phoenix Academy. At that time, we will form a new society and report to the group to keep warm. He Wushwang said sincerely. Su Zi nodded and thought for a while. Phoenix Academy is the most powerful institution in the entire eastern region, and it has the resources of the eastern region inside. The resources are so rich that it is unimaginable. I think you must be worrying about resources. With your talent, you must strive to become a god at rank 8, or even rank 9. But such resources, even a family of gods can't afford it, and won't supply it. But Phoenix Academy is different. There are huge resources directly distributed by the human race, all of which are used to train lords. He Wushwang was full of temptation and said, but you probably don't know that newcomers will be strongly suppressed by those old lords in the first year of joining, and even the basic resources distributed will be robbed. So I got in touch with a few high potential geniuses to form a new society. Don't let us be exploited. How about it? Join us. 603 Suzy glanced up and down. He Wushwang, who was suddenly full of passion, shook his head. He Wushwang's expression changed, and he said helplessly, I knew you couldn't agree so easily. After you get out, you can ask if what I said is true. You are always welcome. Finished speaking, He Wusho turned his palm, and 10 ancient tokens appeared in his hand, and then threw them to the Soviet area. Here, just make a friend. Suzy waved his hand and took it. Looking down, his face froze immediately. 10 summoning tokens of plant units. These summoning tokens are not for me, but they should be of some use to you, and they should be treated as a greeting gift. I hope you will think about it seriously. He Wushwang waved his hand and turned to leave. By the way, be careful with that Lin Feng. I have investigated him. He is a sinister and cunning guy. Well, thanks a lot. Suzy nodded. These plant tokens were just what he needed. Let's not talk about anything else. But very proud. As for what he said about reporting to the group to keep warm. Naturally, it was impossible for Suzy to believe whatever he said. After going out, you can ask Chu Yuyan and Bai Mengmeng. The two of them should understand. Watching him leave, his back disappeared. Suzy put away the unit token. This is the first time that so many unit tokens have been harvested. I don't know what kind of strange arms can be summoned. The treasure chest has also been condensed. Suzy looked at the battlefield. Countless glittering treasure chests of various colors. Eyes flicker. Report. 37%. Chapter 150. Return, God's Gamble. Congratulations to all the geniuses, you have persisted in the world battlefield for 3 days. Remaining number of people in the world battlefield, 11.35 million. Transmission is about to start, please get ready. A familiar voice sounded in everyone's mind. It's finally over, no more hiding. I can finally leave, human race Suzy, I never want to see him again. After going out, immediately close the world boundary wall, and we must not let him progress. There are a total of 100 million Tianzhao, and the human Suzy almost killed half of them. It's too terrifying. It's even scarier than the demons. Originally the number 1 blood demon race was killed by him. This moment, all over the battlefields of the world, countless arrogances howled. Especially those alien races who participated in the last event. They witnessed the rise of a demon. Sister Yanur, your highness is too powerful. Jade Rabbit Collar. Bai Mengmeng stared at the top of the killing list, pleasantly surprised. I'm even happier than I won the first place. Well, see you later. Chu Yuyan smiled sweetly, dignified and beautiful. It's over. Suzy collected the last batch of treasure chests into the territory. Standing on the steel wall. Glance around. I feel a little nostalgic. 3 days. His harvest was astonishing. For him. This resource, it is enough to make his road to becoming a god take a big step forward. After going out, then you can start the road to the transformation of the realm of the gods. While thinking, an incomparably huge beam of light enveloped the huge territory. Swipe. Suzy, together with the entire territory, disappeared in an instant. In the void of the small heavens, one by one, the upper gods and god kings with their auras oppressing the heavens waited quietly. Human race, angel race, demon race, titan race. Hundreds of races participating in the battle of Xiaoju Tianzhao gathered here. They are looking forward to the ranking of the first Xiaoju Tianzhao battle. Terran area, a human god, Wang Li, stood before them all. Behind are dozens of high gods. And in it, Wu Qingying remains independent from the world. Standing next to him are 2 beautiful women who are all over the country and all over the city. Sister Yinger, there is only the last world left. Guess where your apprentice can be ranked. Li Zimu, who was standing on the right side of Wu Qingying, helped the eyes on the eye sockets, turned his head sideways, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and smiled authentically. It goes without saying that my disciple is of course the 10th 441. Wu Qingying heard the words, flicking the ponytail behind her lightly, said bluntly. At the beginning, she had personally played with the shells from the Suzy unit. Don't look at her playing with it easily in her hands. But that's because she's the upper god. Put it bluntly. That is the most terrible battlefield killing machine. And the mode of world battlefield. It's like it was made just for him. To her guess, her good disciple Suzy must be killing people inside. Just like she was back then. Seeing her proud face. Another heroic Feng Judian couldn't help but wondered. So confident in your apprentice. The number 1 on the list now has 90 million killing points. Talking, she clicked on an interface. Number 1, Machine Family, 0, 90 million points. No, 2, Zerg, Claire, 88 million points. The third place, Human Race, Feng Zixuan, 8,790 square points. 4th place, Terran, Lin Feng, 8,500 points. No. 5, Protoss. No. 6, no. 7, Ghost Clan. Of course. How could he be my apprentice? Wu Qingying is very satisfied with the apprentice she chose. Not only is he very handsome, and it's terrifyingly powerful. If both of them are in the same era, she felt that it was hard to say which of the two could beat the other. If this strength is not enough to traverse the world battlefield, what the hell? At least the killing point breaks through 100 million easily. As for how much can be achieved, it's hard to say. For this, Feng Judian smiled and didn't say anything. But there is some disbelief in my heart. The first machine clan, known as the killing machine on the battlefield. Only 90 million. Can someone kill more than the machine race? I don't think so. A questioning voice sounded, and then a young middle-aged man with double pupils came over. When you see someone, all three women showed disgusted faces. Lin Dong, if your skin is itchy and you don't need to deal with it, I can teach you a lesson. Wu Qingying stared at him with her phoenix eyes, and said coldly. Wu Qingying, you haven't become a god king yet. How dare you act presumptuously in front of Mo Lao? Lin Dong who pointed at Wu Qingying and said angrily. Boy Lin Dong, don't mention me. I don't care what you guys want to do. Mo Shang, who was gray-haired but full of energy, suddenly turned his head with a smile and said. Is everyone knows, Wu Qingying will become the king of gods. It's just a matter of time. He would not offend a future god king for the sake of a higher god. Wen Yan, the three girls couldn't help but let out a chuckle, and looked at Lin Dong playfully. A look of embarrassment appeared on Lin Dong's face. He didn't expect Mo Lao to speak suddenly. Didn't you say that my apprentice, Su Zi, can't reach the top? Do you dare to take a bet? Wu Qingying rolled her eyes and asked with a smile. How to bet? Lin Dong asked. Just make a bet of 100 million source crystals, betting that I will be the top 3. If you win, I will give you 100 million source crystals. But if you lose, how about you give me 100 million source crystals instead? Wu Qingying crossed her arms and hugged her chest, provocatively. Disciples should be worrying about Yuanjing now. Just take this opportunity to earn some resources. It is good. Lin Dong agreed without hesitation. 100 million source crystals. For him, the upper god, it is not much. Wait, Sister Yinger, I want to participate too. I also add 100 million, betting that Suzy can reach the top. Will Lin Dong dare to suppress it? At this time, Li Zimu suddenly said, you two have participated, how can I not participate? I will also come to 100 million to have fun. Feng Judian also said, can. Lin Dong sneered in his heart. He secretly learned. This time the machine clan sent. But it is rare for the machine race to meet in tens of thousands of years, the war machine Kai species. Its terrifying battlefield killing ability. Enough to make the gods tremble. Suzy is just a plant type. What to compare it with? Brother Zhao, do you want to come later? Lin Dong said to Zhao Changsheng, the Qinglong lord not far away. At the same time, pass the news you get to the other party. Zhao Changsheng looked at Lin Dong who was as stable as Mount Tai. Thinking that his heirs also lack source crystals. Then he agreed. I apologize to the three girls. Sorry, I bet 100 million Suzy to lose. Wu Qingying and the three girls looked a bit ugly and snorted coldly. I'll bet 100 million too, and I'll lose the bet on Su. Me too. After a while, almost half of the high god lords who came here voted for Suzy to lose. Do you still want to gamble? If you lose, you have to take out 15 billion Qian Nujiao source crystals. Even if you are high gods, you still have to hurt your muscles and bones, right? Lin Dong said with a smile. Seeing Wu Qingying's ugly face, he felt a burst of joy in his heart. Exclamation mark. Isn't it just taxes? My wife won't be able to take it out. Wu Qingying has confidence in Suzy and said directly. I also gamble, it's only more than 10 billion, and I can take it out by myself. Feng Judian said calmly. It seems that billions are nothing more than sprinkling water. I bet too. Li Zimu said with a smile. Little Suzy, my aunt is all for you. Can't let my aunt lose. Old Mo, do you want to participate? Lin Dong said to the old man at the front. At the same time, he passed the news he had received to Mo Shang again. Oh, Mo Shang was a little moved. Seeing Lin Dong's swearing expression, it is obvious that the news is true. Although only 300 million per person. But the God King family, the family is too large, and consumes a huge amount of source crystals. But suddenly the country, he seems to have sensed something. Eyes widened suddenly. I don't play anymore. You guys play. Yun Shang shook his head. Almost got scammed. 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 Yun Shang shook his head. Almost got scammed.